Hey guys, Noel here, and it is Tuesday night, and we are long overdue for a live stream. I've been having a lot of fun doing these. I really appreciate people who have been stopping by to indulge me in my desire to share my nerdy my nerdy interests. I was gonna say eccentric interests or esoteric interests, and got a bit tongue-tied there. So welcome to the party. All right. So this evening, I thought it would be fun for us to play some Famicom Mini, some fighting games, and we'll see what else the night will bring. We have some cool new things in the game room. This is a little bit on the obscure side. At least I think it's cool. This right here allows us to play SCART games on our Sony Trinitron TV through the magic of 480i. So, if you ever wanted to play SCART on a big old TV like this, you can. But certainly, that doesn't replace the magic and wonder of the PBM. So, without further ado, let's get down to some streaming fun with one of my favorite games on the Nintendo Famicom, brought to us by the magic of the Famicom Classic Mini. It is Bumping Pro Sumo. This game was on the Japanese Famicom Mini instead of Tecmo Bowl, which is what people got in the States, because that was quite famous on the NES Mini. But since I love the Famicom, I love its design, I think the Famicom is probably the prettiest console ever. We're going to play the Famicom Mini and play some Bumping Pro Sumo, a very charming chibi sumo wrestling tournament game right now. We have the Famicom Mini running on the very cool Amdek Color 1. Let's try to adjust our... Hey, it's Dakota. Try to adjust our camera like so. We're playing some Famicom Classic Mini, which is the Japanese NES Mini. We are going to start off our live stream with one of my favorite games on this, and that is Bumping Pro Sumo. So, this right here is a sumo wrestling game with adorable chibi graphics, and it's basically button mash the Famicom controller and get your opponent out of the ring. This game actually gets quite hard. I'm going to actually lower the contrast a little, maybe that'll show up. There you go, a bit better on the camera. This game gets quite hard. I'm almost to the end of it. I'm like 5 hours into this game, and it gets ridiculously difficult, but I just have to beat it. Luckily, I've got it saved. This has a password system on it, but it's in Japanese, so that doesn't do me a whole ton of good since I don't read Japanese. But thankfully, the Famicom Mini has save states, which are great. Allows you to just kind of pick up where you left off. Just trying to adjust. I know you guys don't care, but I care. I want you to have a good viewing experience. So, I was originally planning to stream at 9 o'clock, but Santino tends to like to rearrange my room, my game room. So I was putting that back together. I was helping to put him to bed. So, I actually recently reconnected the Famicom Classic Mini to the good old Amdek Color 1. In fact, I'm actually going to hit the lights. Maybe that'll make the picture pop a bit more. Yeah, that seems to help. Okay. We also got a nice riser for our arcade cabinet of Marvel superheroes, X-Men, Children of the Atom, and the Punisher. So that's super cool. We also got a nice package in the mail the other day that is the Super Famicom version of Art of Fighting 2, which is a ridiculously hard video game that we've talked about, but the Super Famicom version is actually much more agreeable to the average player. I mean, I think I'm a bit above average, but nevertheless, it still poses a ridiculous challenge. My adorable sumo wrestler leveled up. He's eating wonderful rice. A staple of communist China. There you go. So this game is shilling all kinds of propaganda. No, I'm just joking. Just being silly. I remember, not to be political, because I actually think liberals are, kind of more hysterical. But I remember back when Obama was in office, going back, like anything that remotely resembled anything out of China. It's like, Obama's a Maoist. He likes rice. He's a Maoist. I'm joking, but still, you kind of get the idea. I love the two little commentators at the bottom of this game as well. Os doskoi. Famicom Mini, incidentally, is very, very nice. Has a lot of really engaging video games. Has the Japanese box art. We lost, darn it. And the games are all English friendly. You don't really need to know a ton of Japanese. No, I haven't ordered Dead or Alive 2 yet. I ended up ordering some other stuff. I will order Dead or Alive 2, I promise. We will play the Dead or Alive 2 on the Dreamcast tonight, but I did not order it on the Xbox, which I need to do, I know. But there was just other stuff I wanted to order, and I just ended up not getting Dead or Alive 2. What I ended up getting was, I got a Kunio-kun game on the Switch. I got another Japanese fighting game on the Nintendo Switch, which we can play tonight, which I actually haven't even played yet. And then I got a riser for my Arcade 1-Up Marvel Superheroes arcade cabinet. And then I ended up getting a SCART to... Gosh darn it, I'm sucking it up here. I got a SCART to component converter. And by the time it was all said and done, I kind of blew through my discretionary spending video game budget for this paycheck. So do it tonight. And no, the Xbox version is the best. I don't disagree. I haven't played the Xbox version of it. I'm sure it is. I've heard that it's called Dead or Alive 2 Ultimate for a reason. I've heard it's got more costumes, more levels you can play in, so... Incidentally, on the topic of Xbox, I am really, really hoping that Sega and Microsoft are going to team up for a new console, because that would make me weep for joy. I am a huge, huge Sega fan. Sega has never been the same since it left the hardware market. Actually, since it's gotten back into producing its own hardware with the Mega Drive Mini, it's already starting to produce much, much more in terms of quality. Like the Mega Drive Mini is great. It's only $10. Actually, maybe I will get it this paycheck. What, Dead or Alive 2 Ultimate is only $10? Where are you seeing that? eBay? Man, this stupid evil sumo wrestler sending me out to the unwashed masses. Gonna end up getting corona. $10, man, that is super tempting. I don't know. I have to buy dinner for my family this week. It's my turn to buy. So, if I can buy my family dinner and have enough left to buy a $10 game, I will seriously, seriously consider. Is that on eBay? eBay or Amazon? Or where are you seeing that for $10? Because I'm intrigued. I remember buying it for $1 at the pawn shop. What is wrong with people? Dead or Alive 2 is like one of the best 3D fighting games ever, and you saw it for $1 at the pawn shop. Although I gotta tell you, I had awesome flea market finds. I got Rocket Knight Adventure for $2. I got Mazinger Z for $2. Like, I would just, like, there was a flea market down the street from me, and I would find all these, like, rare, ridiculous Genesis games. Hey, Diego, what's going on? Just got home from work. Nice. Well, welcome to the stream. We haven't been going for too long. We are playing some Bumpin' Pro Sumo on the Famicom Classic Mini, one of my favorite consoles and video games on this console. I'm actually near the end of this video game, but it gets very hard. So for the purposes of this live stream, I'm just starting from the beginning. This game is pretty basic, and I'm out of practice on it, but basically what you have to do is just do a series of, kind of strategic button mashing to push other chibi sumo wrestlers out of this ring, and then you get this adorable duo down here, talking about the sumo match, and you level up by gorging yourself on rice. Yeah, you better order it, haha. So apparently Dakota saw Dead or Alive 2 Ultimate for $10, and I was telling him that I actually bought the Kunio-kun collection on the Switch, and another fighting game on the Switch, and a riser for my arcade cabinet, which has pretty much, spent my discretionary money, my luxury expenditures for this paycheck. So I, didn't get Dead or Alive 2 Ultimate on the Xbox that I really would like to get, but I just saw other stuff that more immediately caught my eye. The other thing was I'd been promising Santino to get to get Art of Fighting 2 on the Famicom, because he really loves the character Geese, and you can actually play as Geese in the Super Famicom version. I love sumo wrestling. I used to love watching it back in the day. Nice. I used to watch some sumo wrestling here and there on TV, TV Japan, which I sadly don't get anymore because it was good, but it just didn't have enough stuff on it that I liked. I mean, I liked everything on it, but, like, for example, between Anime All Day, Retro Crush, Tubi, and YouTube, I was able to find more Japanese stuff that I liked than on TV Japan, although TV Japan would... the other thing about TV Japan is, it stopped showing Music Station as frequently, so oh my gosh, he chucked me into the crowd. So once they stopped showing Music Station as frequently, the only real thing I was watching on there religiously was Kamen Rider, but they have Tokushotsu on Pluto TV, and it's full of, Kamen Rider and Super Sentai, so I was just I'm gonna just... And we have a house and a mortgage and all this other stuff, so something had to go. And TV Japan was, one of those things. Although I did like it. They definitely... There was some kids' variety show that Team Revolution would pop up on, and he would have this weird, plastic hair or something. He looked like a sci-fi anime character with plastic hair. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's Takanori Nishikawa. Get out of the ring. This game will easily give you carpal tunnel syndrome. Or break your thumbs. I actually learned about this game from the Famicom Dojo YouTube channel. And I was super psyched when it was on the Famicom Classic Mini. I mean, it's a pretty, there's not a ton of diversity in this game, and I think that's one of the reasons why they were able to make it look so good. I mean, at least for my taste. I think this looks great for an 8-bit game, and I think it just looks like a good game in general, visually. I mean, it's just a one-screen game, You've got these cute people in the crowd, you've got these chibi sumo wrestlers, in their little sumo diapers. And you've just got to deal with the game as the difficulty gets harder and harder. But I'm way out of practice. When I first got this game, I was pretty darn good at it. And now I'm just, I'm okay. But I'm definitely not what I once was. We'll go to our next big level up. I used to watch both TV Japan and NHK as well. You were absolutely right. They take out Music Station and other amazing shows I used to love to watch. Yeah, I know. What the heck, man? They have a show with Tamori where he just goes and walks around places, which is cool, but I mean, like, Music Station's better. M-Stay. Ah, gosh darn. This game, oh, did we I think got to the next level here, even though we lost. Yep, there we are on TV there. Brought to you by the fine people at Tecmo. I was saying at the start of this, before you guys showed up, that this is what ended up on the Famicom Classic Mini instead of Tecmo Bowl, which was what the US got. So, that game, there's a bump in Pro Sumo. It's a very cool game. The Famicom Classic Mini. Trying to see what else we got here. That's it. I've been playing a lot of Kunio-kun, and about like 37 minutes into that. So why don't we get that going here. This is actually right where I left off. So if you guys don't know, this is River City Ransom in Japanese. Actually, River City Ransom is Kunio-kun in American. So again, the Famicom was at its absolute best when it could produce these really cool chibi 8-bit video games with these big-headed, charming, expressive characters. And they very much complemented the anime and manga of the day. Cool thing about this game is you can pick up weapons, you can level up. It's just a very chill kind of pick up and play game where you can just cruise through and beat your enemies with a baseball bat. Or a kendo stick, as the case may be. I like that you can also pick up the little bad guys here. Yes, I love Tamori Walking Out on the Streets documentary show, but Music Station made him super famous. Yeah, I love Music Station. 1090. Do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do-do. I mean, I actually liked Hey 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 Music Champ a little better than Music Station, but then Hey 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 switched its format, and it was just basically Machan and Hamachan, like, watching old 70s, like, countdowns, like, with weird transvestite comedians, which I'm not necessarily, like, opposed to, but I'm just saying, like, I prefer, Music Station. It's got I like the music variety, giant spectacle performance with a cool comedian hosting the show. And Hey 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 kind of got away from that formula. By the way, Noel, have you seen Tamori without his sunglasses? I have never seen Tamori without his sunglasses. Have you seen Tamori without his sunglasses? I heard he came out of the womb with the sunglasses on. I heard it was a very difficult birth because of that. To this day, he and his mother don't speak. These Japanese street toughs. They're no match for me. Thinking after Kunio-kun, we'll do some fighting games here. I think actually last stream we ended on some KOF 2002 Ultimate match, which was really very good. So, and we were going to actually get into that, but it actually got quite late. And our battery on our phone was running down. I don't know where we go here. Do we go in this doorway here? Could it be? Yes. I mean, I don't know if on your end how fun Famicom games are to watch. They're very fun to play. They're definitely not as fast-paced as what people are I've never accustomed to. I've never seen him without his sunglasses. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't think he ever takes them off. It caused him to, go through like 3 divorces. His wife was just like, take him off, and he's like, no, and so there's just one divorce after another, That's not true. I'm just joking, but. So I was a Sega Genesis kid growing up. I played NES at friends' houses, but I definitely was someone who came to the NES through my growing love of the Famicom, and I love 80s anime and manga, and I love the design of the Famicom, and just the look and feel of Famicom games. And my first Christmas, married. No, I don't even know if I was married yet. I think I was. No, I don't know if I was married yet. My first Christmas with Santino, my wife got me the Famicom Mini, and that's how I know she cares. When you have a woman who will import Japanese mini consoles for you. All right, this game is very fun. We will switch it up a bit. I think we're gonna go and play some fighting games. We may revisit the Famicom Classic Mini in a bit, but I said on the last live stream we were going to pick back up with the King of Fighters 2002, the Ultimate Match. So we're gonna play a little bit of that, and I think we also definitely need to play some. My phone broke last week, and this loaner only works on Wi-Fi. Sorry. I think we'll play some of this as well. But the original Capcom versus SNK. But before we do that, we're going to play some Ultimate Match here. You know what else we need to play in this live stream? This game is actually pretty rare. This is the American version, the original American version of Dragon Ball GT Final Bout. This game, at one point, was going for triple digits on eBay. I'm not sure if it still is, but I actually got a pretty good deal on this game. I think I paid about like $50 for it, and it's interesting. I prefer the Japanese version, but this is a very rare version of this game. Hey Hey Music Champ is the fun comedy version of Music Station, while Music is more of a serious version of Hey Hey Hey. Agreed. It's good stuff. Yeah, I just missed when Hey 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 was having performances. Like, I remember I would go to my best friend's house, and he would download Music Station and Hey Hey Hey, and we'd just sit and watch Hey Hey Hey, and they'd have, like, no performers on. It was just constantly downtown watching, kind of best of 1970s J-pop compilations, and then just people watching and nodding their head and getting teary-eyed. So I was like, okay, I mean, this is fine, but I want to see some glitter bombs. I want to see some inappropriate humor. I want to see Hamada causing concussions to the back of people's heads with his comedic slapstick absurd humor. And it seemed like Hey 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 was just getting farther and farther away from that. And then the next thing you know, it's like there's no more Hey Hey Hey. So, but I do love me some Music Station. So. Incidentally, my favorite YouTuber, Guy Jillionaire, on the topic of Music Station, just uploaded a very cool video on YouTube, and it's about the one of the original lead girls from AKB48 in a soap opera that takes place in the format of a 80s, 90s JRPG. It's fantastic. So I need to look into that show, and you guys need to check that video out because it looks really, really good. So if you like AKB48, if you like Dragon Quest, you need to watch that because it seems like it's the best of both worlds. So, we are going to find the remote for my flat screen TV, which I don't know where it is. Oh, it's in here. So, True Sinister, I am super sorry about your phone troubles. I'm incredibly grateful that you're here with your knowledge of 2D fighting games from Capcom and SNK. We will likely play Art of Fighting 2, the one of the most ridiculously difficult games, both the arcade version and then also the Super Famicom version, which I got for my son because he is a huge fan of Geese Howard, in Art of Fighting 2, with his long, slicked back, blonde mullet and police commissioner three-piece suit, and his, come on, Yellow Belly, bust off. Oh, Diabo. You know, that's it's good stuff. All right, so we're going to set up our camera, like so. Focus on the flat screen. Power on. And we will actually get this nifty HDMI cable here for the Xbox 360. Disconnect the Xbox One. And,
Hey, YouTube star.
Yes, oh, my wife is here. See, this is my very real wife, who's not a robot. This is, I did not build her.
I'm just here to remind Noel to do the dishes.
Oh, yes, well, we'll get to that at some point.
Riveting YouTube.
In the near future. This is cutting-edge live television right here. This is, it's never a dull moment in the Noel game room. You know, nagging wonderful wives, obscure Mario-themed Happy Meal toys. I mean, this is like just amazing content right here. Noel, do any of your friends and family also watch Japanese TV shows? They really only watch them because they care enough about me to sit in the room with me while I watch them. I had my best friend growing up was also into Hey 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 Music Champ and Music Station and J-Pop, and he would torrent them. He knew how to get them all from Japan and with the commercials. And I used to go over to his house every Saturday night. I would bring my Xbox or my Neo Geo, and you know, we'd watch Music Station and eat Chinese food, and it was wonderful. But he ended up moving, out of, not too far. He's in Binghamton, but he's not around as close as he once was, and his interests sadly have kind of drifted away from Japanese TV and has gotten more into like MMORPGs. That seems to be more of his focus. So it is what it is, but we're still very tight. Do the damn dishes. Yeah, I mean, it's true. I need to do the damn dishes. All right, back to our previously scheduled fighting game here. TV on. Thank you. Xbox on. That's the wrong controller. First time seeing your wife. She's very beautiful. Thank you, my friend. Yes. If you can get a girl that looks like that, then all of a sudden you're like, oh yeah, your confidence shoots way up. Some other pretty girls around, and it's like, I don't care if you don't talk to me, because I'm going out with, I'm married to someone better than you. So, all right, let me pull up my chair here. Actually, let me adjust my camera first. Zoom, zoom, zoom. Do. There we go. There's Xbox Noel. In his Sega Saturn shirt. Now I'm very optimistic, maybe naively so, that Sega and Xbox will team up and make a Sega Saturn or Dreamcast 2. Supposedly Sega's making some revolutionary announcement in a couple of weeks. So, as it relates to Microsoft, and I doubt it would be considered revolutionary if it was just some thing like, ooh, Sega streaming service on the Xbox. Like, nobody cares, like, Plus, Sega streaming services are always disappointing. Like, at least they were. Now that they released the Mega Drive Mini, and that was a huge hit of immense quality. And the other thing is the Sonic the Hedgehog movie. I don't know if you guys have seen that or not, but that movie is fantastic. I mean, that might be, in my opinion, the best video game movie I've ever seen. It's very, very funny and very enjoyable. So, but with a blockbuster movie and a really high quality, well received piece of hardware, it makes sense for Sega to continue upping its game and return to form. I'm gonna hit the lights, and we'll get down to some action with K-Dash and his buddies shortly. So, I forgot what I was going to say. I don't know. It was going to be something about Neo Geo, and I don't even remember what it is, so. But, oh yes, I know what I was going to say now. So there is a Sailor Moon redraw hashtag challenge on social media, and I did that. If you look at my YouTube channel, you can find my redraw of Sailor Moon. And I put the background music to my favorite song from this game. It's called Shining Brave, and it's actually the theme of the Pretty Girl team. And we're going to pump the difficulty down for the purposes of this live stream, just so we can kind of play in a nice brisk manner. So, fun fact about me, I'm out of aftershave. So I put face lotion on my head, and it feels both refreshing and a little odd. So, I just wanted you to know that about me. My first world issues here. I'm out of my aftershave, so I am dealing with a different experience here. We're gonna do some Art of Fighting. They're always my go-to crew. Noel, what are your thoughts about the current situation in this country? Okay. Well, I think that the crime in question is horrendous. I don't think that there's anybody who disagrees with that. I think the riots are counterproductive and do nobody any good. They ruin black communities, and they drive people increasingly to tribal extremes because people see that violence, and a lot of the people just look at it and say, I don't want any part of that. And that would, in my opinion, be more working class common people see that of all racial persuasions. And then, in my opinion, the more liberal white middle class people who are, pretty hysterically upset about the 2016 election, maybe they have some African American friends, they seem to be the ones that are the most supportive of the rioting. I don't have any black friends that I'm at least close with that think that those riots are a good idea. And in fact, the kind of silver lining on all of this is that I've got a pretty broad coalition of friends. I'm friends with a lot of, white working class evangelicals. I go to a boxing gym with a lot of conservative, kind of working class guys. And everyone is in solidarity. Everyone is completely in unison with the Black Lives Matter movement in terms of its desire for justice and voices to be heard. And that's, I think, really, that's got a lot of positive revolutionary potential. If you can actually unite, white working class conservatives and, poor, blacks around an issue of racial justice, it's actually, kind of heartwarming and inspiring. The problem is that common ground that's got immense potential and is showing some of the best of humanity is getting drowned out by indiscriminate violence and destruction, and people think it's not going to affect them, and it could affect them. Like, if you know anything about Russian history, and I have a minor in it, the people that are always the first to get victimized in uprisings. I love this song right here. This is hey, what happened here? Oh yeah, there you go. For some reason, something happened with my HDMI. Oh, I'm hitting the cord. That's the problem. I knocked the cord out. I was going to say something profound, and then I screwed with the HDMI cable here. All right, here we go. Come on. I got this like extender cable here, and I was hitting it while I was talking. Anyway, what I was saying is it's always white liberal, kind of soft people that end up getting victimized by uprising and violence. And they think it won't affect them. They think they'll benefit from it. They think the people that they hate are going to be the ones that are going to be affected by it. And then they end up getting drowned in the flames first. And then everyone else gets dragged down with them. And this is a time right now when people need to be ethical. They need to focus on treating other people the way that you'd want to be treated. If you don't want it done to yourself, don't do it to other people. And I think a lot of people have that logic, but there's a lot of naive people and angry people that are emotional and not clear-headed, that are taking really dangerous and foolish positions that are going to have the exact opposite consequences of what they want. America needs to change their racial justice system. I agree, for sure, absolutely. No question about it. What I think the big problem is, personally, I don't have black friends either, but my heart goes out to George Floyd's son. Yeah, absolutely. That's the thing, man. It's like you don't have to have black friends to know that was horrible. And like the fact that so many people understand that was horrible, and it shouldn't have to take someone getting martyred to bring people together. But that's exactly what ended up happening here. It's like we all of our positive aspects of humanity are like, showing in the sense that like we all are in solidarity that racial violence is terrible, which is, I think, really good because I think with the whole Black Lives Matter movement, but before when it was more about like kneeling at football games and things like that, I think that the problem wasn't so much that people didn't care. It was more a question of the method of delivery by people. Yeah, the government is just all messed up. Yeah, no, it is, for sure. There's a lot of stuff that works. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, even poor people in this country have nice luxuries, which we should keep in mind. Like, nothing materialistically is that bad in this country compared to the rest of the world. Like, I mean, I'm not saying we're like the greatest country ever, but even our poor people in this country have things like flat screen TVs and sneakers and food. Like, that's worth noting. Like, we're not living in a situation where people have absolutely nothing to lose. There's a lot that we could lose here if stuff gets broken down too much. So we need to keep things into perspective here. It's very easy for people with means to get dissatisfied and think that their lot in life is worse than it actually is. So perspective is huge. I'm not saying that that poor people and racial minorities aren't facing immense emotional and potentially life-threatening situations, but we also need to keep things in context as well and look at the situation in its totality. What I was saying was that I think that there's too much tribalism both within police communities and in African American communities. The tribalism being that police, I would argue, deal with an immensely stressful job and therefore want to treat other police officers with a good deal of sympathy because they can relate to situations where they're dealing with some of the most miserable, cruel, inhumane people. Like, if you do any kind of social service, you will see things that you didn't think people were incapable. It's like people seem to sink below decency so often, and it's just kind of like, I didn't even know a person could act that badly. You know, when you encounter those kinds of things in social service working for the state. And so when you encounter that kind of stuff and you're trying to serve and help those people, and then that kind of person is just kind of viciously treating you, you know, it's very easy to snap. Now, obviously, George Floyd was an innocent, good man, and even, you know, people who are, you know, dysfunctional criminals can be, you know, really good people too. But I'm just saying that being a police officer is often a thankless job where your life is in danger and the people that you're trying to help are treating you with contempt. So there's a lot of solidarity with police officers where they don't want to, I think, fully punish their own, or don't want to know that their own is doing that. They want to give their own the benefit of the doubt. Now, incidentally, I think the same thing happens in minority communities too. I think there's a lot of crime, and people, you know, just kind of turn a blind eye to it, or they think it's, you know, part of rebellion against authority. Do you support Colin Kaepernick kneeling? I don't mind him kneeling at all. I think that he is not that good of a quarterback, and I think he's a bit of a diva. I think he likes to draw attention to himself and make it, you know, almost as much about himself as the cause he stands for. And I think that people who are like Colin Kaepernick need to present both sides of the issue here. That black people are racially profiled, that there is still racism in this country, and that they are in greater danger a lot of the time, and that they just deal with a lot of, you know, either low-key or overt racism that wears down on you, and there's a lot of poverty in black communities, and that needs to get attention brought to it. But at the same time, you have to not just blame white people for that either. Like, there's got to be responsibility of saying, hey, look, there's a lot of black-on-black violence, there's a lot of drugs, there's a lot of destructive things that are romanticized in urban culture, and we need to not sink to those levels. And, you know, there's a lot of, you know, personal responsibility for, you know, people ending up in poverty too. It's not just the man keeping you down, you know, but the man keeping you down is a part of it. So I'm just saying that if you want your side of the story to be taken seriously, you have to know how to present a complete picture and reach a wide audience. And Kaepernick had the right idea, but I think he wasn't great at communicating it. And I think the whole idea that he was blackballed from the NFL because of his politics is nonsense. I think that he's just not a starting caliber quarterback, and you know, I think a lot of people think he's going to be a distraction to the teams that he's on, and he's just not good enough to, you know, want to have in spite of those distractions. So I don't know, but as a Vikings fan, I would take him in the backfield. I would have him as a running back who can throw the ball and keep other teams off kilter. So I think he does have potential as a player in the NFL, just maybe not a starting quarterback. So so there's that. I mean, I've definitely seen, just in my own little ways, unfair ways that, you know, African Americans have been treated. Like, for example, like, I worked at a Kinney's. Man, this HDMI cable thing that I've got going here is not working the way I was hoping it would work. Anyway, so for example, I worked with this really cool black dude at Kinney's. And I would just, like, and he would, like, be super nice to me. We'd joke around. And I remember one time, like, I just was, like, working forever, and, like, my lunch break was just nowhere in sight. And he knew I was hungry, and he, like, gave me some of his, he, like, bought a pack of cookies, and he, like, gave me he gave me, like, a few cookies. He gave me, like, 4 cookies. Like, hey, I don't want all this, or have some of this, you know. So I could tell, like, he'd been working at the store longer than me, and he was, like, trying to help me out, you know, super cool guy. And, like, I just see people as kind of, like, treat him worse than me, and I'm like, that's weird, man, and he's like, no, it's not, you know. It's just like, oh, I see. So, like, that kind of thing is uncalled for, and you know, obviously, I'm just saying this from my perspective right here, but I'm not one of those people that's like, white people have no right to talk. It's like, no, if you see something wrong happening, you have a right to talk about it, you know? It's like, if you have eyes in your head and a functioning brain, you are obligated in many cases to speak out against injustice, whether it's a white person doing it or a black person doing it, And I think rioting is just burning down your own communities is playing right into the hands of the people that you don't like, right? You're not going to be able to build on, you're not going to be able to build on anything other than ashes, and ashes don't have any integrity, so. All right, I don't know. I don't want to just ramble on about, these issues, but I just want people to be safe and behave ethically, and I'm all in favor of protests. I just want them to be smart, focused, diverse, principled, frequent, but not just give in to indiscriminate destruction, which is incredibly stupid. And like I said at the start of it, I'm not seeing a whole lot of black people or Black Lives Matter people even supporting that type of stuff. It's just all naive white liberals and criminals that are just, like, oh, I'm bored and destructive, I want to do this, or I've got a lot of angst and I hate the status quo, so go burn it all down, while I sit here from the comfort of my apartment, So there's that. I hope I didn't, alienate anyone from my perspective. But my philosophical models are Jesus Christ, Karl Marx, and Noam Chomsky. I have Catholic theology, and I would argue a kind of humane, radical, social democratic take on politics, with kind of conservative moral values, but economically progressive perspectives as well. So that's, what I'm all about, and I've been lucky to be friends with a lot of people from a lot of backgrounds. When I was single, what I would do is, like, I would go to Bible study with evangelical Christians, and then I would, just go hang out with my friends at the bar afterward. And that's not to, like, it's not like I'm like a phony either way. I just am genuinely a part of both groups, and it's good to be able to ideally have principles and a diversity of friends as well, where you can communicate with them and appreciate their perspective and still hold your own. All right, Robert and Yuri. Oh, you know what else we should play? And Innocent. Was it Innocent or True Sinister was on here, or Innocent Sinful was on here? I don't remember. But let me scroll back to the comments here. True Sinister's on here. Okay, so what True Sinister is may appreciate here is I got Art of Fighting 3 on the Xbox One. So we might want to play that. The Robert Garcia's Mexican Adventure. Robert's Bizarre Adventure in Mexico. Okay, so it's Chrysalid is the boss here that we're fighting, the antagonist from the KOF 99 series. So, KOF 99 is a very good game. And Chrysalid's design, I think, is one of the things I enjoy most about it. I actually had that game on the PS1, and while it was good, the load times were quite distracting. I mean, a KOF game with load times in between fights is it's definitely not impossible, but it really breaks up the flow of things way too much. Like, dude, if you gotta wait like 30 seconds in between each fight, it's kind of like, come on, man, But that's the trade-off with Neo Geo. They always want to put so much effort into making these great 2D sprite pixelated visuals that, it's just when you're on an optical medium of a console that's not built for those kind of things, it's like you end up getting ridiculous load times. Final stage completion. Now, I think we've got a final boss here. I wonder if it's going to be like Rugal, Ultimate Rugal or something like that. Special Battle. Yeah, this is Rugal right here. Now, I don't know if we're going to win or not. Hey, Noel, I'm going to bed, and I'm tired. Haha. Okay, good night, Dakota. And hey, Tony! Tony, I just went on a very heartfelt political rant that I, was not looking to do. Just trying to give both sides of the story here about current events. I'm not rabid one way or the other. I just want people to understand each other's perspectives, build cross-class and cross-racial coalitions, and not burn down their communities and alienate each other. So, we are now fighting Omega Rugal here, and he is very, very tricky with his genocide cutter and his Hulk Hogan mustache. I agree with your take. Thank you, Tony. Yes, I heard. He's like, oh, we all heard. I heard that crap from Homer Noel. Ah, come on, genocide cutter. Tony, I'm glad you're here. My buddy from the old days. Well, now that quarantine is starting to wind down, dude, and we're kind of reconnecting, we gotta hang, man. Ah, son of a gun, dude. Can I even land a hit on this dude? Well, okay, so I landed a couple hits on him. But he's so freaking stacked and ridiculous, I can't get any damage on him. Alright, Robert Garcia here, with his very cool Arsenio Hall pants here. If we end up winning this fight, I'm going to be super excited. But we're probably not. Because I jumped right into that genocide cutter like a freaking moron here. Alright, SNK boss strategy. Corner jump kicks. I should have started doing this earlier, before I ran out of my characters here. Tried to fight him fair and square, which was an idiotic thing to do. Ah, that didn't work out. Yes, we do. Have you ever heard Is Grocery Market in Mitsuwa? There's one in Edgewater in New Jersey. I have not. That sounds awesome. We need to play some N64 or something. So, Tony, fun fact. I actually just got a SCART to component converter, so we could actually play N64 through RGB on my Trinitron. Now, the Trinitron is consumer grade, which still has a beautiful picture. The PVMs are smaller and have the perfect crisp picture. But, usually when you got friends over, you want to play it on the big screen. So I actually do have kind of the perfect setup for N64. Now that we've beaten this game here, though, actually, we could actually play some N64 right now. I am definitely planning on playing some Capcom vs. SNK 1 on the Sega Dreamcast, but at the same time, I think it would actually be pretty cool for, now that you're bringing it up, play some N64. Now, if we're going to play some N64, I think it behooves us to play some wrestling games. Now, also Diego had brought up, Noel, do you have Super Smash Brothers? And this is the Super Smash Brothers that I have here. Like, I like Super Smash Brothers. Mitsuwa is a Japanese grocery market. I need to go there and buy some JFC rice and some of that illegal yakisoba ramen that the FDA won't allow it to be sold here. That Segata Sanshiro sells in Japan. Yakisoba UFO. Legendo! Alright, so even though I just showed you guys Super Smash Brothers, I'm going to play some WCW versus the World. No, we're going to play WCW versus NWO World Tour. Because WCW versus the World is on the original PlayStation. So, Have you guys watched my YouTube channel about my adventures with the Russian Big Show or Paul White, the Giant? So, anyway, you should check that video out. Long story short, I was recruited to the WWE Performance Center by a Russian con artist posing as the Big Show, and he wanted $200 in a mysterious PayPal account. So I didn't have the $200, but I did sign over the mortgage on my house. So he technically is my landlord now. So that's very true. And my tryout in the Performance Center is, he said he assures me that they're going to let me know. So I'm sure that's going to be super exciting. So, or I just told him to go F off. Either way, so you decide the details. Anyway, the reason we have a lot of YouTube videos. I'm getting slowly through them. Yes, I am quite the content creator. I entertain tens of people around the world, okay? Tens of people. So, yes, I agree with you, Diego. WCW NWO is the greatest game ever, at least on the N64. That's really good. Anyway, I've got this set up because I have a lot of different HDMI cables. And for my Xboxes, I was like, I'll just, rather than having to go to the back of the consoles, I'll just, have one cable go through another cable, and it's actually making the picture a little jittery. So I'm probably going to, adjust that setup. So anyway, so here is our, as you know, Nintendo 64 with Snowboard Kids, which we were playing last week. Which is a great game. I'm actually going to put the N64 on the floor right here. Like in Slumber Party days, right? And I'm actually going to disconnect the SCART cable from the back of the Super Famicom, Super Nintendo Mini. And we'll play some Versus the World. Nah, how do you call it Versus the World? WCW NWO World Tour. All right. Set the phone down. All right. Swap out our SCART cable. I mean, one of the reasons that I don't like the connector boxes is I'm always paranoid of getting signal loss with them. So I always want things going as, like directly into the console as possible, from console to DV, as directly as possible. But anyway, I digress. So, right here, favorite wrestler, Hulk Hogan, dude. Hulk Hogan is the best hero. He's the best villain. He's huge in Japan. He's huge in the United States. He's got cool TV shows and movies. He was, more of a father figure to me than my own father, as tragic as that sounds. Seriously, I don't know my dad, because he's a jerk. But, Hulk Hogan... at least his character on TV, brilliant. Someone to look up to and someone to enjoy, at least in terms of his fictional persona. I know backstage he's a bit of a politician, has not always made the best life choices, likes the juice, but he is the Babe Ruth, Michael Jordan of pro wrestling. Watching him is just an absolute joy. Hulk Hogan is one of my heroes. So, I'll tell you what. They say don't meet your heroes, but I actually was fortunate enough to meet Noam Chomsky. I was also fortunate enough to meet the man called Sting. But I've never met Hulk Hogan. I actually was playing around with hanging up this autographed X-Men 2099 comic in my game room, and I don't like the way it looks, so I'm going to take it off the wall. Now, so we got to meet Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan, the GOAT, the greatest of all time, the godfather of the NWO, the king of Hulkamania. I love the Dungeon of Doom, and like the evil supervillains that Hulk Hogan fought in WCW in 1994. If you have not seen Hulk Hogan versus the Dungeon of Doom videos on YouTube, can I do a Hulk Hogan impersonation, please? Well, you know something, Diego? With the NWOites and the Hulkamaniacs, Join me in the crowd, brother. It's only a matter of time before I get them in the launch position like I got Andre the Giant Dude back at WrestleMania 3 in the Silver Dome. And then I took his son, that big nasty stinky giant, and I slammed him in the Dungeon of Doom before I got him in the family business for life, brother. And what you gonna do when the NWO and the 24-inch pythons of Hulkamania run wild on you? So that's my Hulk Hogan impression. So hopefully I didn't wake the neighbors. But yeah, Hulk Hogan, love the Hulkster. Now, where was I? Where's my game? It's right here. There you go. So, all right. Now, back to plugging into the N64. Ta-da! Now, we're going to play this on our Trinitron. Even though it might not look quite as crisp as on the PVM, it's still going to look badass going through SCART to component. So we'll do some of that. We're going to unhook the N64/Super Famicom SNES Mini. We're going to connect it to this very cool SCART to component video converter. Okay. Your Hulk Hogan has gotten better over the years. It was always pretty good. Thank you. Yes, I used to do it at CCA, so. All right. So there's our TV. Let's try to position this a bit. Good. Power on. We got our controller. Power on. Well, pretty sure that's right. So we might need to blow on the cartridge a bit. Well, that's not good. This is an RGB modded N64, so what the heck's going on here, guys? No, it's working. So where's our picture? What's going on here? Oh, I know what's happening. Is this not on? What's going on? Why do we get no picture here? We might have to kick this back to the PVM here. This is an RGB modded N64. Let's try the Dreamcast here, see if that works. Because I know the Dreamcast works. No, something's wrong here. Okay, something's off. Don't know what's going on here. So, sorry gang. I don't know, we're having some technical difficulties. So we'll see what we can do. Because for some reason, we're only getting audio on our Trinitron here. And I know for a fact that this works, 'cause I've been playing it a lot. If the Trinitron setup isn't working, we'll just kick it to a PVM. So, what is going on here? Do we not have something off? We got our connectors in here. It's on the right setting. Let's try. No, that's working. So we know that the sounded a lot more than Hulk Hogan. Good. Well, this is weird, guys. I don't know what's going on here. So, is this not, oh, wait, this isn't plugged in. That's probably the problem there. Aha. We might have found our issue. So, let's try plugging this in. Now, let us try. There it is. Okay, we're good. We're good. Okay, so we'll actually go back to our wrestling game. It turns out that I had actually unplugged the converter box, and that is why we were without picture. So there we go. Let's hit the lights and we'll play some Versus the World Tour. Not Versus the World. Why do I keep saying that? All right, so. I've had enough of Hulk Hogan. Come out here now. This game is just fantastic when it comes to music. Do you like the red and yellow or Hollywood? I like them both equally. It's very hard to choose. I think Hollywood is a more interesting character because the fans turned on him and he had good reasons for turning into a bad guy. And he, he punished people with his villainous power. He was like an inversion of the good guy Hulk Hogan. He was just as strong, but he used his powers not for good, but for his desire to tear down the system and build it up in his own villainous image. And I think that kind of like irony is just very, very interesting from a creative perspective. I'm trying to lower the contrast down so it shows up better on camera here. Hang on a second, I'm going to hit the other light here. Watch Hulk Hogan flex in 64 bits. Now, the flip side of that is like the good guy Hulk Hogan was very pure. WCW all the way. WCW all the way. Deeper roster, better writing. I don't dislike the WWF at all, but I am Team WCW all the way. So we're going to be Hollywood Hulk Hogan, now that you bring that up. And we will fight Sting. Maybe we should fight Surfer Sting. Who's my favorite diva wrestler? Good freaking question. If we're talking like WWE diva, do we count Sunny as a diva? If we're gonna include Sunny in the divas category, Sunny. If we're gonna start talking about when they started calling girls divas, Maurice, probably. So I'm gonna actually pause this for a second here, and I'm gonna try to move the camera in so you guys get a less glare-filled picture. Hang on. So yeah, sorry about that. So yeah, my favorite diva is probably, if we're talking diva, like where they were being called divas, Maurice. If we're talking like my favorite girl wrestler, Sunny. And she's not really so much a wrestler as she is a valet, but she was like, I don't know, like she to me was like the quintessential hot girl wrestler. So yes. Now there's plenty of other girls wrestlers that I like. Britt Baker in AEW has been phenomenal. Like if you're not watching AEW right now, you need to start, because it's fantastic. It's a great successor to WCW. Tony Schiavone on commentary is fantastic. Whoa, a bit late. No, Arrow, welcome, man. We're playing some WCW versus NWO World Tour. We just powered it on. We beat King of Fighters Ultimate Match 2002. And before pretty much anyone got here other than Dakota, or Rogue Drums, we were playing some Bumpin' Pro Sumo on the Famicom Classic Mini. So it's been fun. We did talk a bit about politics in a well-rounded, respectful manner, and we've just been shooting the breeze. My totally not a robot wife showed up, and that was fun. Told me to do the dishes, so I'll take care of that sometime this fiscal year. And we're going to do the Axe Bomber to Surfer's thing here while I flex to the crowd. And I was just answering the question of who's my favorite diva, and I was saying if we're talking like people that go by the title Diva Maurice, but if we're talking like WWF girl wrestling personality, it would be Sunny. So that's my take. Now, WCW Aki Asmic games are, I think, among the greatest games on the Nintendo 64 and are the greatest wrestling games of all time. They're so smooth to play. The combat system is detailed without being too complicated. The whole like holding the grapple button down for different amounts of time and then hitting a button is good. I think the costumes are, the wrestlers all look like they're supposed to look. This is the first wrestling game that I played where it was like, wow, Hulk Hogan really is clearly Hulk Hogan here, like, not that like the other like Sega Genesis games like didn't look good, but I didn't even realize they had a special here. I'm like wasting it here. Doing my Rocky 3 chokehold right here. Get up, get up, get up, get up, get up, get up. I think I can get one more in. It's funny because in Japan, Hulk Hogan's finish move is the Axe Bomber. It's the clothesline. But in America, it's the leg drop. But all these like really great Japanese wrestling games like don't include the leg drop. I think I knocked him out with the Axe Bomber. Just like he knocked out Antonio Inoki. No, he's up, man. Now, the cool thing about this game is, have you ever seen Mexican wrestling as well? I used to watch Lucha Underground on El Rey and really liked it. I really liked the whole paying attention to wrestling as a comic book aspect of Lucha Underground. My favorite Mexican wrestler, and I know he's big in both Mexico and Japan, would be Ultimo Dragon. I obviously like Rey Mysterio Jr., but Ultimo Dragon, I saw a great Ultimo Dragon match in New Japan where he came out with he was just like draped in belts. And he came out to this really cool Mexican song. I think it was called, what is it called? Like something Parados or something like that. I don't speak Spanish, but it was just a great match. And Ultimo Dragon's just a cool dude. Well, the Trinitron looks really good. Yeah, thanks, man. It's playing through a SCART cable, going through the component 480i. I can't get the 480i to pick up an HDMI cable, though, unless I convert the HDMI cable to S-Video and then convert the S-Video to a component signal. So it still looks really good that way. But I feel like the red is bleeding a bit through that method, and it wouldn't bleed if it was going strictly through component. But it's very hard to find a component converter for HDMI that puts the HDMI signal into 480i. Every time I find something like that, like a HDMI to component converter, it never picks up on this Trinitron, and I've had like 3 of them. And I tried another method where I got HDMI to SCART and then SCART to component, and that didn't work either. So I don't know, man. Like the method I watch Roku on this through HDMI is HDMI to S-Video, S-Video to component, and it looks amazing. I feel like the red bleeds a little bit on it. Not anything super noticeable, but I just tend to get a little OCD about TV pictures. Like, so incidentally, since this is a Ultimo Dragon, totally is better than today's wrestlers. Agreed. Now, because this is a Japanese game, the NWO Sting was super popular in Japan, and I agree. I actually hit the remote. Sorry. NWO Sting is super popular in Japan. And he is featured prominently in this game. So, we're going to be the NWO Sting. NWO Sting just had a really cool look. Do you have any tattoos? I do not. Bleeding Colors have always just been 64. Wait, the Bleeding Colors have always just been 64 to me. Okay? I'm a little on... Like, are you just saying, like, there's just always been Bleeding Colors on your Nintendo 64 and you're just used to it? So we're going to do NWO Sting versus Sting. The match... No, that's not right. This is a tag match. We're going to do NWO Sting and Scott Hall. And we're going to fight Ric Flair and the Giant. It means it always bleeds and just get used to it, yeah. Okay. I mean, I'm honestly not seeing any Bleeding Colors on the N64 going from SCART to component. So, it looks really good. And, I mean, it looks better than it's showing up on here. So, I don't know. So, anyway, yeah, Fake Sting, I always thought looked really cool. He had this, like, big nose, and he always chewed gum. And he just had this, like, very, like... cool guy, villainous persona. And the other thing I liked about NWO Sting was that, the WWF, since they were struggling so ridiculously against WCW and the NWO, they were like, oh, well, we still have the rights to, Razor Ramon and Diesel. So we'll just make our own Razor Ramon and Diesel. Razor Ramon and Diesel are doing so good in the WCW with the NWO. Well, then we'll just make our own Razor Ramon and Diesel. We still own Razor Ramon and Diesel. So what that did was that it made the WWF look stupid because they were putting out a fake version of those characters. Even though they were kind of like semi-acknowledging that they were fake, but they were still, like, oh, this is Razor Ramon and Diesel now, so like them. But since the NWO was its own company and it was like this nightmare version of the WWF that was invading the WCW, and, the same way that the WWF couldn't get Hall and Nash back and the NWO couldn't get Sting, they made their own fake Sting. And it was, I think, like a really cool take on what WWF was doing and just how the NWO did what WWF did better. Like, what bothers me a lot of the times is that, people will always say that the NWO got watered down and there were too many people in it. But the thing is about the NWO that you got to understand that made it cool is that the NWO was not just a wrestling faction. The NWO was supposed to be a company that rivaled the WCW, that was its own company with its own stable of wrestlers. And a wrestling company, it has an upper card, a mid card, and a lower card. So it's not just some, like, gang. It's not like the Four Horsemen, where it's like, oh, we've just got, like, this formula of a handful of guys, The core formula of a handful of guys was Hulk Hogan and the Outsiders. Like, they were the core, but there were these other... That's why you had that group in WWF called the Core. That was kind of like when they tried to do their own NWO knockoff with the NXT group, Nexus. But yeah, what was cool about NWO was that it was its own company with its own wrestlers, and yeah, so it didn't bother me that the NWO had like 20, 30 guys in it, because it should have had 20, 30 guys in it, because that's what a wrestling roster should have, And I hear Eric Bischoff do these interviews. He's like, yeah, I watered down the NWO too much. It's like, no, you didn't. Dude, you don't even understand what you did and why it worked. Like, that's the thing about Eric Bischoff. He was at one point in time the greatest wrestling promoter in the world, and I don't think he understands how he actually did it. Like, I think he's got some idea, but I don't know. He doesn't understand why what he did worked. Like, for example, hang on, let me take a break and look at this here. Which wrestler gave the best speech in the ring? Hulk Hogan. Yeah, it looks really good here. Okay. So yeah, Hulk Hogan I think is the best talker. I mean, it's just like there's other wrestlers that are great talkers, but to me it's like Hulk Hogan checks every box, including wrestling. Because like if you watch him wrestle in Japan, or if you watch him wrestle more technical wrestlers like Bret Hart or Ric Flair, like Hulk can go in the ring. He's not just someone who just brawls and does nothing. Like he actually has technique. it's a fairly limited moveset, but Hulk Hogan can work, quote unquote. He can chain wrestle. He can do enziguris. He can do technical wrestling. Like, he knows how to do those things. He just doesn't do them a lot in the United States because that doesn't play as well in the 80s and early 90s. It's more like being a muscle man brawler. Whereas if you watch his work in Japan against people like Great Muta, he's very interesting to watch. He's a big guy who knows how to do technique, and he's got crazy ring persona. So other good talkers besides Hulk Hogan. I'd have to think about it. I would say I'm just gonna give you like my top 10 wrestlers right now. Hulk Hogan, number 1. Sting, number 2. Macho Man, number 3. Then I would say Bret Hart, number 4. Shawn Michaels, number 5. Hall and Nash, 6 and 7. Now we're kind of starting to get a little, starting to do some digging here. Probably number 8 would be The Rock when he was in the Nation of Domination. Number 9 would be Owen Hart. Number 10, Booker T. And then a close 11 would be Yokozuna. So, Eric Bischoff or Paul Heyman? Eric Bischoff. Paul Heyman abuses his talent. He doesn't pay his talent. He's a sleazy dude. Paul Heyman is, I think, someone who turned ECW into a profitable company by understanding 90s culture the same way that WWF understood 80s culture. But the thing is that Paul Heyman, he knew how to package his product in an exciting way, but he really, I think, put his talent in a lot of danger with the kind of shock value matches he put them in, and he didn't pay them. He stiffed a lot of wrestlers. He acted like a sleazy, lying promoter who was, always acted like this man of the people, but always seemed to be ultimately out for himself. And Eric Bischoff, to me, seemed like a very smart guy that was really good at kind of the hustle of the entertainment industry, and tweaked WWF's formula in original ways that made it better than WWF. And when he had Ted Turner's backing, both in terms of his trust and his wallet, he was able to really focus on creative. I think he put the best wrestling together that's ever been put out on television. The thing about Eric Bischoff is that he was like a teacher who lost control of the classroom. I don't think had enough of an authoritative presence to force wrestlers to respect him. I think wrestlers might have liked him enough, but they, I think, ultimately started to not respect Eric Bischoff. And once he lost control of the classroom, and he, I think, had to deal too much with Turner corporate politics, I think his attention was divided into too many directions, and that ultimately caused WCW's creative to not get bad, but to stall. And the NWO story didn't quite develop. And once it did start to develop more with uniting of the Wolfpack, and when Hogan joined the Wolfpack, which I actually think was a really good storyline, then all of a sudden it just trailed off into nothing. And so that's what I think. I think Bischoff was at one point the greatest promoter in the history of professional wrestling, but ultimately lacked the management skills to hold it together for an extended period of time. Vince McMahon or Jim Cornette? Vince McMahon, just because Vince McMahon lives for the WWF. That is, I think, that's Vince McMahon's life. And I think Vince McMahon is a sleazy, crazy old man, but he's a promoter, man. He knows how to promote the crap out of things, put spin on things, tweak things. He has, I think, a true understanding of what it is to present professional wrestling, and he's done it at the highest levels, and his product has become the standard, although at a point in time it was clearly, the number 2 wrestling company on the planet, and and was just getting totally smoked by WCW and the NWO, which was way, 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 way better. And to this day, he's never been able to surpass the NWO's story. But Jim Cornette is a cool dude. Like, he's a passionate, funny guy to listen to. He's very old school in what he thinks works in pro wrestling. So, I mean, I like Jim Cornette for sure. I like to listen to his shoot interviews, even if I don't agree with everything he says, just because he's so animated. But if I'm looking at, like, wrestling minds, like, I would say Vince McMahon over Jim Cornette. And I would say, at a point in time, Eric Bischoff over Vince McMahon, as crazy as that sounds. But, Bischoff was just, like, for whatever he had going for him, man, he took advantage of the WWF when they were, just kind of sloppy and weak, and he, transcended them on the highest level. Now, I think had he not lost his creative focus, I think that, WWF would maybe still be the number 2 wrestling company on the planet, but he did lose his creative focus. Internal politics devoured him in WCW. And then Turner Corporate just didn't want wrestling on anymore. And, now he's making, like cheesy syndicated TV shows, and it is what it is. So, but I like listening to Eric Bischoff. Speaking of Eric Bischoff, since we're talking about him so much, why don't we be? It's Eric Bischoff, weighing in at 185 pounds. It will be Eric Bischoff and 6. And, yeah, there we go. No, I did 2 Eric Bischoffs versus 2 6s. All right, well, we're going to do that. I got distracted. But we'll do 2 Eric Bischoffs and 2 6s. Incidentally, so the first big mistake that Eric Bischoff made was, a couple of things. When he let Six-Pac go, when he let the Giant go, and when he let Chris Jericho go, that right there was such a huge part of WCW's mid-card that the WWF now had access to. Like, what ended up happening was, WWF was writing themselves into greater and greater prominence because, everyone was just really all on the same page and wanting to beat WCW. And they were able to copy WCW. WCW made their product so interesting, at least to me, that I wanted to check out other wrestling. Like, I loved wrestling so much from watching WCW that I was kind of like, hey, what's the WWF doing, And eventually, the WWF started putting out interesting WCW-style stuff that was a bit more humorous and sexual than WCW. That doesn't mean it was better, because it wasn't. Because, like, Nitro was always the standard that I had on. And if, like, something was a bit boring on Nitro or there was a bit of a lull in the action, I would, like, just flip over to WWF, I don't know, see, Sable in a bikini or like The Rock say something funny, and then I would switch back to Nitro and then just watch Nitro, and then, oh, it's a commercial on Nitro, oh, what's going on at WWF? Oh, cool, Owen Hart's out there screaming and he's got police tape all over himself, Like, that's my take on WWF versus WCW. Like, WCW was always a superior product, but at a certain point, WWF copying the kind of the style of WCW, trying to appeal to college guys and having that apocalyptic, edgy, turn of the century, writing style, got better and better. And then once WCW just started to stall creatively, they just lost more and more and more viewers. And then I think internal politics just, again, like, internally the company just wasn't functioning the way it was supposed to. It didn't seem to have a lot of focus in terms of where it was going, and it didn't seem to have a lot of support corporately. So, who is the best commentator in wrestling? Bobby the Brain Heenan is a color commentator, and then for play-by-play, Tony Schiavone. I like Tony Schiavone better than Jim Ross. I don't dislike Jim Ross, but I like Tony Schiavone better. In fact, I would say, in my lifetime, my favorite announcers would have been Bobby Heenan, Tony Schiavone, and as a heel, Jerry Lawler. And then I also really like Mike Tenay's work as a play-by-play guy. So, good stuff. Vince McMahon is also a very good play-by-play guy. So, that's my list right there. I mean, I would put Vince McMahon ahead of Mike Tenay as far as an announcer. Do you watch... I'm sorry. What do you think of Jonathan Coachman? Should he return to wrestling? Coach is cool. Why not, Honestly, I haven't watched WWF since WrestleMania. And before WrestleMania, I didn't watch WWF. I just tuned into WrestleMania because it was WrestleMania. The WWF, in my opinion, as of right now, has gotten so unengaging and stale and predictable, and there's just and lifeless. I don't enjoy it. There's no one that I aspire to be in the WWF, or identify with in the WWF. Like, when I watch AEW and Kenny Omega comes out, I'm like, Kenny Omega, that guy is cool as hell. I want to, I identify with that guy. There's things that I have in common with that guy. We both like anime. We both like video games. He looks like a badass 80s action star. Kenny Omega, he's cool as hell. There is no one in WWE that I think that of right now. It's like there's some guys who's like, oh, that's cool. Like, Mandy Rose is smoking. She is a freaking I look at her sometimes and I'm like, damn. So they've got some good looking girls here and there, but the writing is so ridiculously bad, and it's not good. I don't even know what to say about it, other than the fact that it's just gotten to the point where it is, I think, the worst I've ever seen the WWF. People will say, oh, or even worse than Doink the Clown. Yeah, I would take Doink the Clown as their heavyweight champion, unconditionally, as opposed to what they have now. And I mean that. Heel commentators were the greatest. What do you think of Tajiri and Funaki? Awesome. I like them both a lot. I love the tarantula finisher that Tajiri did, and I think Funaki's cool. So Eric Bischoff is a black belt in real life, as evidenced in this video game. The battle between Sean Waltman and Eric Bischoff continues. They both know their shadow clone jutsus here. Honestly, if WCW had just debuted Bret Hart properly, they probably would have won the Monday Night Wars. And I mean that completely. Okay, I'm a huge Mike Tyson fan. Mike Tyson is my favorite combat athlete. Legit Hulk Hogan I love, but pro wrestling is staged. A legit fighting athlete. Mike Tyson is my favorite fighter. By far. I copy his fighting style. I watch his matches for fun. I just think Mike Tyson he can be a troubled person at times, no question, but watching him do the Catskill fighting style, the peekaboo style boxing, is invigorating and inspiring. Now, that said, once the WWF got Mike Tyson for WrestleMania, the WCW should have responded with getting Evander Holyfield to ref Hulk Hogan and Sting, and then they should have had Bret Hart interfere with the match so that there could be another match that would be a three-way with Hulk Hogan, Sting, and Bret Hart. They should have had Sting win the match, no question, and they did, even though it was just kind of a screwy finish. But but instead they just busted Bret Hart down to the mid card when he was the hottest wrestler in pro wrestling. He wasn't as popular as Hogan or Sting, but he was the most talked about, And, they just wasted him, man. His momentum just drained into, I remember when Bret Hart was going to show up in WCW, I was so excited. I was like, oh my gosh, this is the most insane dream scenario, because WWF had gotten watchable when Bret Hart was still there, and I would switch back and see Bret Hart out there, fight D-Generation X, and I liked Bret Hart better than Shawn Michaels. So when he was going to come to WCW, which had the best writing in the history of wrestling, I was like super psyched. And then at a certain point, I remember watching like when Bret Hart was there, I was like, this isn't as good as I thought it would be. Like I still like it, it's still great, but like I'm a bit underwhelmed here. And had they just kind of fixed that, I don't know. We both have specials here, I think. Yeah. I'm actually not paying attention really to what I'm doing here. So that's kind of why this match is like dragged out so long. So I'm sorry if this match is not like the most entertaining thing here. Because I'm just rambling about pro wrestling. Which I really do like. I think the Attitude Era was good, but it's overrated. Which might be a controversial thing to say. But everyone's like, oh my god, the Attitude Era, yes. But here's the thing, man. If you take a look at Steve Austin, who's cool, no doubt. Hollywood Hogan had a much deeper character than Steve Austin. Steve Austin was just kind of like an anarchist hillbilly, Hulk Hogan, on the other hand, he was the paragon. He was like almost like a living god in pro wrestling. And he was like, it would be like if Superman used all of his powers as a supervillain. And he had really good reasons to do it too. Because the fans, which he had always strived to please, decided that they were sick of him and didn't, and like his work with charity and all, like they didn't care, He's like, you want a bad guy? You like me giving you what you, like I always give you what you want. You want a bad guy? I'll give you a bad guy. I'm going to tear everything down and rebuild it up in my own villainous image with these guys at my side, the outsiders, And it was like, and he had like pointed attacks too. It wasn't like indiscriminate violence. It's like the NWO, they knew just who to attack, who to recruit. I mean, it was like pretty deep writing, for being a pro wrestling show. And but WWF was just like, it was just like kind of Jerry Springer college guy stuff, which was fine, but it was just not as interesting to me creatively. Which is why the NWO went over on The Rock and Austin at WrestleMania 18, because people knew they were of a better quality than the WWF. I mean, they went under again because like the writing in WWF just stalled. WCW just stalled. It had no payoff, and eventually people were just like, "Well, this is never going anywhere. I'm just going to see what the WWF is doing," and it was interesting. So they tuned into that. We win. Do you like ECW? What are your thoughts about it? I think ECW is good, but I thought that the kind of matches that they did there, while entertaining, were needlessly dangerous for their talent. Violence does not replace good psychology and good storytelling in wrestling. Hulk Hogan, I think in his last match with Sting in TNA, was able to engage the crowd much more by doing this than all the backflips and cheese graters in the world. Who would win, Mike Tyson or Brock Lesnar? Mike Tyson would destroy Brock Lesnar. If we're talking a boxing match, it's not even close. Mike Tyson is much faster than Brock Lesnar. I think he's much stronger than Brock Lesnar. I don't think Brock Lesnar could... I don't know if Brock Lesnar could catch Mike Tyson. If Mike Tyson is actually focused in using his footwork and his hand speed. Brock Lesnar is, I think, a jacked up, juiced up, adequate mixed martial artist with a great talent for amateur wrestling. And, and he's able to use both, I think, his size and performance-enhancing drugs and his technical fighting knowledge, which is maybe not as good as other people's, but his size compensates for that, to basically be someone who has had a good deal of success in mixed martial arts. As a pro wrestler, I think Brock Lesnar is not good at all. I don't think he's good on the mic, and I think his matches are boring. And he's someone who would, kick my ass, no question. And he's someone who, put a ton of work into his craft at a certain point, and then he started coasting, So I'm not saying I got no respect for Brock Lesnar. I'm just saying that as he is right now, I think he's, like, my least favorite wrestler, because he's just... his matches are like, it's all he does is a couple of suplexes, turn blue, because he's got to have like terrible circulation. His heart is probably burnt out from all the steroids he's done. Or maybe he's got like other problems like health wise that are making him turn blue in matches. That's a horrible sign though. Like I heard Road Warrior Hawk used to turn blue in matches and he ended up dropping dead, God forbid. But I mean, if Brock Lesnar got Tyson, like he shot on Mike Tyson and got him on the ground, like Tyson's a striker, he's not a grappler, so I mean, it would depend, I guess. Like if they're standing up, Mike Tyson. If they're on the ground, Tyson doesn't know what to do because he just knows how to strike like a master. Do you watch Jerry Springer? What are your favorite episodes? I do not watch Jerry Springer. I remember once in a while when I would stay home from school, I would click on. Just if there was like, pretty girls acting crazy, but I'm not a fan of Jerry Springer. I think that, I think he's kind of a sleazebag. He's not stupid, but he's someone who exploits poor people and peddles, kind of softcore sex for ratings and giggles. Do you like Steven Seagal? What are your thoughts on Steven Seagal? I like Steven Seagal. I think he's cool. His fighting style is not as flashy or as engaging as Jean-Claude Van Damme's, but I like him. But Jean-Claude Van Damme is my favorite martial artist, and Bloodsport is my favorite movie of all time. So, yes, there's that. Why don't we play some Capcom versus SNK? Millennium Fight 2000. So, we're going to turn off the N64. And we will swap. We'll keep it on the Trinitron here. We'll swap our SCART to component cables here. And we'll actually put the N64 back in its place, in its rightful habitat here. So, yeah, I mean, I know I said this earlier, but if Sega and Microsoft team up, I'm going to be so happy. If they make a system called the Sega Saturn X, and they have Segata Sanshiro selling it, do you realize how insanely awesome that would be? Seriously, I mean, everyone says, they want, it's like, oh, well, if they just do a Sega-branded Xbox in Japan, that would be cool. No, you don't just do a Sega-branded Xbox in Japan. You do a Sega-branded Xbox all over the world, because Sega has got, a ton of fans everywhere, and if you can kind of combine the Xbox and the Sega brand, that would be, I think, very, very cool. And if you can find some way to include Segata Sanshiro in that, good freaking going, man. That would be awesome. So, do you think Jerry Springer would make a great manager in pro wrestling? Absolutely. 1,000%. Jerry Springer is not a stupid guy. He's someone who understands spectacle, and he can talk. So, I think Jerry Springer would make a great manager in professional wrestling. So, yes. Good questions, Diego. Keep them coming, man. All right, here's our SCART cable. Sorry if you're just looking at my leg here, but here's our SCART cable for the Dreamcast. All right. I think the leak of the source code for the Xbox revealed that it was going to be more or less a Dreamcast 2. I would be all over a Dreamcast 2 as well. The only thing about the Dreamcast 2 is that, I really want them to bring back Segata Sanshiro. But if they did a Dreamcast 2, I would wet myself with joy. I mean, I would be doing cartwheels for 3 days if a Dreamcast 2 came out. Everybody wants it. The Dreamcast is such an underrated system. The games that the Dreamcast had, we're playing the Dreamcast. We're going to play the Dreamcast right now. It was a pretty system with cool games. It had great fighting games. It had good 3D games. It had Shenmue, which was innovative and interesting. It had Sonic. It had Marvel vs. Capcom. It had Dead or Alive. It had, what else? It had Power Stone, Street Fighter 3. I could go on. But it was just an amazing system. with cool games. Dreamcast had its own cool mascot, Mr. Sega. So I'd be down with him coming back. He's kind of like a nerdy, funny businessman. There's actually a great Gajillionaire video about him as well. If you're not watching Gajillionaire, check out his YouTube channel. And also, Kenny Lauderdale. That is another great YouTube channel. I was cleaning out my classroom today and was watching him ramble about like Chargeman Ken and different like 80s and 70s lost media animes. It's great stuff. So check out Kenny Lauderdale's YouTube channel as well. All right, we're going to put in some Capcom versus SNK, but that's a PlayStation version. We want the Dreamcast version. So let's go down here. And you know what? We should also get Dead or Alive 2 out, because I told Rogue Drums we'd be playing some Dead or Alive 2. And you love the VMU, yes. So, if they do a Dreamcast 2, dude, I mean, freaking make that Xbox white. Like, it's already got the Scarlet Xbox that they're talking about. It's already got kind of a small square design. It's a little bit more rectangular, but you know, if you were able to make that look like a Dreamcast, put like the Sega logo, the Dreamcast, and then like an X and a 2 on it, I already have a lot of Xbox stuff. I mean, I always buy Xbox after PlayStation, but I am full in the deep end of the pool if Sega has got a console out there and Microsoft is doing the hardware. Like, Sega is, no, I mean, like, as evidenced by the, you know, Sonic the Hedgehog plushies in my room here. Sega is my favorite hardware of all time. So, you know, I'm totally down for a Dreamcast 2, a Sega Saturn X. You know, we all want it, you know. And the thing is, too, is like, Microsoft, this is a hard time marketing stuff in Japan. And Sega is popular there. They have, you know, their arcade scene is ridiculous. Sega Saturn was crazy popular. Dreamcast was popular. Genesis, you know, stood tall, did its thing, you know. Couldn't, you know, overtake the PC Engine or the Famicom or the Super Famicom, but it was a presence, you know. So Sega's a big deal there. And that would be huge in giving Microsoft, you know, some, like, Japanese street cred. So, all right. We are going to put in Capcom versus SNK. So, Mr. Sinister will probably like this, if he's still watching. You are playing my favorite and greatest fighting game on Earth. Yes, it is true. This game is amazing. Now, another fun fact about this game. Its opening music was sampled in the last episode of Columbo. Don't believe me? Look it up, man. It's true. I have a video where I review the PlayStation version of this game, and I cross-reference this game with the last episode of Columbo, and the opening theme is sampled in the nightclub scene of the last episode of Columbo. Columbo being the greatest detective show ever made. I watch it every Sunday night religiously. I love that startup sound. I know, isn't it amazing? I'm gonna hit the lights before we engage in the match of the century. What's the difference between SNK, Capcom vs. SNK, and Capcom vs. SNK Pro? Capcom vs. SNK Pro, Joe and Dan are playable characters. And on the PlayStation, at least, I don't know about the Dreamcast version, because I don't have the Dreamcast version of Capcom vs. SNK Pro. On the PlayStation version of Capcom vs. SNK Pro, everything is already unlocked. So the old school music, all the hidden characters, it's all unlocked right off the bat. You don't have to unlock everything, and plus you get more playable characters, so... But the downside is like the Dreamcast has definitely got more going for it. In terms of graphical power. Terry Bogard and Ken Masters. Ooh, Cammy. We're going to do the Shinkiro artwork here. Capcom versus SNK theme in Colombo. I need to see it. Check YouTube Noel ComiX Capcom versus SNK review. And if you watch it, I actually, it's the PlayStation one. It's Pro. I believe it's the PlayStation one. I did it like last year. I play both the opening theme and the scene in Colombo where it plays that song. So yes. Because the last Colombo, he goes up against a nightclub owner who kills a mafia guy. So basically what this nightclub owner does is he kills his girlfriend's ex. No, okay, let me put it this way. I said that's not true. His girlfriend accidentally kills this mafia guy. So the boyfriend who owns the nightclub buries the mafia guy underneath the nightclub. Now, this sleazy tabloid reporter tries to blackmail the nightclub owner, and the nightclub owner kills the sleazy tabloid owner. And Colombo, who is like in his 70s in this one, but he's still like cool as hell, brings down this nightclub owner, and he's just around all these like, I graduated high school in 2002, so this was done in 2003, maybe filmed in 2002, so it was like totally like the style of when I graduated high school. So all these like, hip, early 20s people with their Adidas track jackets and their rave clothes. And Colombo is like, like in his trench coat and his beat up old car, and he's just, walking through that world and, just doing his thing. Are you okay? Busta Wolf! Ah, Terry. Fist bump. I was actually hoping that this, with the bigger screen, would look a little better coming through here. But if I move this forward, it'll have a less contrasty picture here. So, I hope. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt the flow. And I know you guys say you don't care, but I just want to make this look as good as it can for you guys. It's hard to say which groove I like better. The Capcom or the SNK groove. The SNK groove you get to charge like Dragon Ball. But the Capcom groove, that whole like the more you fight, the higher your super move gets is, it's how fighting kind of goes sometimes, right? You get more and more into it, your potential goes more and more up, Aw, thank you, Arrow. You can't compete with me. Well, I don't know. Like, I want to make these live streams as good as possible, and I know a lot of people just throw in something on a capture card and kind of just stick with one thing. But I know you guys also like it, kind of seeing the game room, walking around, that kind of thing. Doskoy. Yeah, I think our key, what we needed to do, we just needed to move the camera in more, closer to the TV. So I should have just thought of that earlier. Incidentally, guys, I know I say this every live stream. If you haven't watched Street Fighter 2V, you need to watch Street Fighter 2V. It's one of my all-time favorite fighting animes. It's got amazing music. Check out the Japanese opening credits and closing credits. Amazing prequel to the Street Fighter animated movie. It's Kim. Capcom had such a beautiful take on the SNK characters, and vice versa. I mean, even though SVC Chaos was, I think, underwhelming aesthetically in terms of its presentation, The sprite work on the game was maybe the best sprite work ever. It looked just insane with the amount of detail that they did. So they did like this, like very kind of well executed but underwhelming 2D fighting game, you know. And the sprite work on it was just stunning for the Neo Geo, and just even if not on the Neo Geo, just stunning in general. But the Capcom artwork in this game is so lifelike and energetic. It goes perfectly with a fast-paced fighting game that, you know, lifelike, again, just lifelike, the energy of having just perfectly placed lines in the right place of a character. This is in the pro version of this game, it runs through every Street Fighter demo opening in this level. In this version, it just does the Street Fighter 2 demo opening. But in the pro version, it does like the Street Fighter 3 rap. It does Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, like Alpha 3. It's some of my best memories playing a fighting game is playing this level on Capcom vs. SNK Pro. Otosan Gomen. Pornolef. Silver Charioto. We're gonna get a Requiem Chariot right here. Do some body swapping. I am a huge fan of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. In fact, we might want to play some JoJo's Bizarre Adventure All-Star Battle on the PlayStation 3. I know we played the Dreamcast version on one of our streams, but the PS3 version, while not having the cool Capcom fighting engine, has got beautiful graphics and fun gameplay as well. In fact, I don't know, you can't see it now, but this Trinitron is covered in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure stickers. I've only seen the anime, though. I haven't had the privilege of reading much of the manga. I do have like some raw Steel Ball Run in an issue of Ultra Jump, but I don't have anything other than that. But I've seen all the 5 anime. Out of the 5 JoJo's, Stardust Crusaders is my favorite. I mean, they're all great in their own way. Morio, the 4th one, starts kind of slow, but picks up it's very, very engaging toward the end. Golden Wind is great. Golden Wind is definitely I think the weirdest in terms of the girly guy, tough guy characters, but it's such a great anime. I love it. The SNK character looks like they're going to the nightclub because of their kick-ass amazing clothing. Yes, agreed. Yeah, SNK always had more fashionable characters. It's Iori and Ken. So it's always interesting, like, I don't know Violent Ken. I always think of Violent Ken as like he's brainwashed by M. Bison or Vega with Shadow, not Shadow Law, what the hell am I? Psycho Power. But, you know, there's artwork of Violent Ken as well where he's got like white hair like the Orochi. So, I don't know. I don't know, you know, if they're, connected somehow in the Capcom vs. SNK universe, if Orochi's got some role in Psycho Power. Who knows? Iori is a very cool character. I was watching a YouTube video today while I was cleaning out my classroom. It was like Creamy Miami. It was like a magical girl anime from the 80s. And basically how there was this lost MSX prototype of a video game of a mech-themed fan manga of that game. Just the obscure anime 80s stuff that I like, you know. Creamy Mommy, yes. Yes, Creamy Mommy. Noel, have you seen Kentaro Sweet Tooth Salaryman on Netflix? No, I need to. Creamy Mommy is actually on Retro Crush. I need to start watching it. Yeah, dude, there was like this Creamy Mommy doujinshi where she was like part mech. And it was like really popular at like anime conventions and stuff. And they actually like developed an MSX game for it that never got completed. And there's actually like this 3-minute anime promotional clip for it that you can actually find on YouTube. It's like the name of it's got Pony in it. I can't think of the full title, but it was really cool. It was a Kenny Lauderdale video again that I was watching. Yeah, it was great. In fact, like Kenny Lauderdale videos of like they kind of like got me like doing some like anime VHS reviews because I've got a pretty obscure library. I need to watch that Salaryman thing on Netflix. That sounds cool. The SNK characters look like they're going to a nightclub because of their badass fashion style. I agree, 1,000%. Not that there's anything unfashionable about wearing an eye patch and kickboxing shorts, though. You go to a nightclub wearing that, you're going home with something. I don't know what. A restraining order, a woman, another black eye, I don't know. Another eye patch. But I'm going to tell you, it's going to be an eventful night if you go to a nightclub dressed as Sagat, I'll tell you. One way or the other, something's going down. Next time you should think about watching my hands. Geese. I love how they have the Fatal Fury 3, the Japanese doors open. Yeah, here we go. You cannot escape wrong death. Well, you're either very strong or very lucky. You'd better hope that you're strong because your luck just ran out. It doesn't matter what you've accomplished. Now let's see who's strong and who is weak. Diabo. I love Geese's music. Geese's music is some of the best music, like, just anywhere ever. Double Reppuken. Thank you to True Sinister for teaching me how to beat White easily with Geese. I did not know that he freezes in front of the Reppuken. And again, good for freaking Capcom for picking this version of Geese's music. It just goes perfect here. Predictable. As good as SVC Chaos was, I think Capcom treated the SNK characters with more respect than SNK treated the Capcom characters. Like, for example, I think Geese in this game is stronger than M. Bison, but I think that Mr. Karate is more serious than... Mr. Karate is more stronger than Shinakuma. My favorite magical girl anime would have to be Sailor Moon, just because that's the one I've watched the most of. But I really do like the Pretty Sammy parody in Tenchi Muyo. So, yeah, I mean, it's a really predictable Western answer. But I actually haven't seen a ton of magical girl anime other than Sailor Moon. Although I will check out Pretty Mommy because not Pretty Mommy, Creamy Mommy, because it's on Retro Crush, and from what I was watching of it today, it seemed like a lot of fun to watch, so... check out my Sailor Moon fan art video on YouTube, guys. It's got cool SNK music and some nice artwork, and that Rising Storm is no good for anyone. Geese. Come on, Buster Wolf! Ah, darn it! Darn it, man! I was trying to go for the Buster Wolf, but I couldn't get it. Sorry that the contrast is up again on this here. I highly recommend it. It looks hilarious. I'm sorry, I highly recommend it. It is hilarious. Cool. Alright, we'll do the same team here. Decide in the order of the bout. This game's presentation was such a nice change of pace from Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Not that I want to crap on Marvel vs. Capcom 2, because I don't. In fact, I really, really want it to be... Terry, again, what don't you learn from your past, boy? You should have realized that... it went too fast, I couldn't read it. Something about being outclassed in Southtown, and that Geese is going to destroy him and his small villages. Alright, here we go. Anyway, what was I saying? I don't even remember. Sorry. These themes do have to be unlocked, but do not have to be unlocked in Pro. So basically, you just play this game and get points, and you can buy the themes. But in Pro, they're all unlocked already. You can also do a Game Shark code and just save it onto the VMU, and they'll all stay. I'm not one of those people that's like big into like unlocking things for replay value. I like to just replay games because I like them. Bro, come on, Buster Wolf. Ugh. Who would win, Vega or Geese? Good question, man. Geese is a better fighter, but Vega's got the psycho power, so... I don't know, man. Like, if you watch a Street Fighter animated movie, like... You know, Geese doesn't seem to be that much different a fighter than Ken or Ryu. I mean, he seems to be, like, crazy powerful, but he doesn't, like, teleport around and, you know, that kind of thing, so... I don't know, man. Like, maybe if he, like, got his hands on M. Bison, he could, like, choke him out or something, but, like, M. Bison, like, his psycho power, he just, like, fills up a whole screen with energy, you know? So, I would have to go with Vega. I'd have to go with M. Bison, so... But if we're talking just, like, pure fighting skill, Geese is, I think, a better fighter. In this game, Geese is harder than M. Bison, though. Come on. I should just probably switch to the Capcom groove. I'm a little better with that groove. Darn it. Not good. Diabo. My son says that, like, all the time. Everything is Diabo this, and come on, Yellow Belly that. I like this Capcom artwork, but I prefer I like this. I like the SNK Capcom Groove artwork better than the Capcom Groove artwork. So I like this better than that. But they're both good.
You cannot escape from death.
I also very much enjoy Geese's English. If you play the King of Fighters Neo Wave, Art of Fighting 2 Geese is like, "You're not worth my disgust." We're gonna do the cheap SNK boss corner jump kick timing here. Predictable. Darn it, he blocked my Show You Rape out right there. Yeah, I definitely feel more comfortable with the Capcom groove here. Mother, come on, dude. Ah! Is Capcom versus SNK an underrated fighting? I'm sorry. Is Capcom versus SNK underrated compared to Marvel versus Capcom? They're different. I mean, like Marvel versus Capcom is tag team, and the Capcom games are King of Fighters style 3-on-3. So I don't know if like I definitely think that the Marvel games get more attention, but anyone who knows the Capcom versus SNK games holds them in such high regard that I don't know if underrated is the right word as much as not well known. Not as well known, I guess. So it's not as well known, but it's definitely appreciated. Like, I don't know, like if I talk to someone about Marvel vs. Capcom, if they're a video game fan, they'll probably know what I'm talking about. If I talk to someone about, Capcom versus SNK, if they're a video game fan, they might know what I'm talking about, but it's not as well known. Why am I not doing my Buster Wolf? Darn it, man! Let's give this another shot here. I should just turn this into boss rage here. Do we want to stick with the same team here? That is the question. We could be Morgan. Let's mix it up. We'll throw Morgan in there and Terry. That is a very interesting picture of Morgan right there.
You cannot escape
Man.
from death.
Freaking dude, we're like better off with the PVMs here. I thought the bigger screen would look better on the webcam, but Morgan has such a cool design. Dude, I've been watching like an increasing amount of videos about the American comic book industry. What the hell did they do to Captain Marvel? She looks like Ellen DeGeneres. Which, I mean, I don't mind like Ellen DeGeneres being a superhero, but like she was so cool looking when she was Miss Marvel, and now she's like, I don't know, she doesn't look like a girl anymore. Morgan and their awkward super moves. I don't know, I just don't know who thought that Captain Marvel design would be a good idea. She looked much better before. I love your Arnold Schwarzenegger impression. Yes, thank you. I just like to do it. Good stuff. Actually, that was a terrible impression right there. Apparently, like on the Total Recall commentary DVD, Arnold didn't realize that the whole movie might be a simulation. He's like, I never realized that. Like, dude, you were like in the movie. Like, you were in the chair. Like, it's a whole huge plot point there. Morgan. Every time I see a girl named Morgan, I always think of Morgan. These succubus. Yes. If I lose this, I'm going to be really annoyed. Dude, Buster Wolf, come on! There, finally. And that was closer than it should have been. Ha! You are weak and stupid. You stupid weak baby. You beat me, but you won't finish me off. Is this the code of the Street Fighters? How touching. But I will never accept that. So I'm going to throw myself off this tower. I'll be back. I always am. Ha 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 ha. Look at Geese taking that multi-story drop. Now finally, to tune into a news network with real credibility, WNNN's News Combo 7. Just makes the mainstream media look as bad as it can possibly look in comparison, because News Combo 7 is awesome with their Dan Hibiki and Joe Higashi. I thought it's so late. I thought I was starting to mix up Dan and Joe's name, but I was getting it right. Geese Howard's missing, or as my son calls that version of Geese, haircut Geese. Yes, sadly, not as many people know about Capcom versus SNK. So here's our cool credits there. So yeah, that was like Capcom versus SNK. I actually think for Dead or Alive 2, I actually am going to put the Dreamcast on the professional video monitor. Now, in our I think it was our last live stream, once I started to get a bit tired, I went to the refrigerator and got some ice cream, which is what we're going to do right now. We're going to get an ice cream sandwich brought to us by the fine people at PNC Fresh, the local grocery store in my neighborhood. So while I snack on this ice cream sandwich as we play video games, this might be a good idea for me to show you all some more very cool anime VHS tapes in the library over here. Now, I don't know how many of you guys know Zillion, but this is very interesting. So Zillion was a anime that was made by Tatsunoko. If you played, games like, we could play Capcom versus Tatsunoko on the Wii. That is the best Wii game. We got to do that on maybe this live stream or definitely the next one. But this was actually made in conjunction with a cool Master System game or a Mark III game. And in fact, this gun here is literally the light gun for the Mark III Master System. And Burning Night is this weird, like, alternate dimension where the group is a rock band. And, it's cool, though. It's cool as hell. It's a really good, OVA, kind of a spin-off, if you will, fan reimagining, fan service kind of thing. Not like sexual fan service, but something for the fans, like a funny, not so much funny, but kind of gritty, interesting alternate dimension to Zillion. Zillion Burning Night. Definitely worth checking out. Yes, we did beat the game, Diego. Thank you. Good stuff. Now, Tony, I don't know if you're still here, but, Tony had actually mentioned Lily Cat, and I had said, like, hey, yeah, I actually showed Lily Cat on the last live stream. So here is Lily Cat right here. It's a really, really good alien-style sci-fi horror anime with really engaging, interesting characters. A very relaxing, almost, flow to the movie. I feel very relaxed watching Lily Cat, despite the fact that you get scenes like this. So, take it for what it's worth. It's a good anime. Another good anime to check out. Bubblegum Crisis is one of my favorite animes of all time. The Bubblegum Crisis Live Hurricane 2032 is a very nice music video compilation of Bubblegum Crisis. So, check this out. And it comes in a very cool VHS tape. So, good stuff. And the artwork on this box is also amazing. Another good anime that you need to watch is The Revolutionary Girl Utena. So, this is a, I haven't seen all of this. It's kind of a, I don't know if Yuri is the right term. It's not, it's got some kind of girl on girl low key romance. Like, sometimes it's low key, sometimes it's not, kind of dimensions to it. Really super pretty anime, interesting story. I actually used to read the comic of this in Animerica Extra. But I love the artwork on this anime, and yeah, it's really it's got kind of a weird story about princes and princesses, and sometimes the prince and the princess are both girls, but it's an interesting, pretty anime to check out. Revolutionary Girl Utena. If you like the shoujo style of romance everywhere, this is worth checking out. So yes. Now I don't know if I showed this in previous videos, but Dominion Tank Police is great stuff. So yes, I'm getting Diego saying to please play through Capcom versus Tatsunoko for the Wii. Yes, we will play that. The plan is to play Dead or Alive 2. But I don't know. But Dakota said I think Dakota checked out. So, I don't know. Maybe we'll play some Capcom versus Tatsunoko. I've already got the Dreamcast hooked up and Dead or Alive 2 ready to go. So I think we'll play that, and then we'll check out ye old Nintendo Switch. I like my Nintendo Switch, not Nintendo Switch, my Nintendo Wii. I like the Wii for sure, but that is probably my least played video game system. And it's funny because I saw it like during when quarantine first started. There was a lot of talk about the Wii becoming highly sought after because it's such a kind of a casual, accessible video game system. Look at me sitting here doing one of these just chatting live streams here. That's right. I'm one of those content creators that just sits back and uses my my beauty to draw people toward me, to give me money. Give me money now, you simps. Thank you for the movie tips. Yes, keeping a list of all of them to check out. Yes, you should. They're awesome. Trying to see what else I got here. I think I pretty much showed you everything that I've seen. If you haven't, obviously, Record of Lodoss War is just insanely good if you like fantasy. This is like the quintessential fantasy anime. If you like Dungeons and Dragons, if you like JRPGs, and if you like the fantasy genre, you owe it to yourself to check out the Record of Lodoss War. So, it is good stuff. Check that out. Also, this is one I got from Video Circus. It's Lupin the Third. So, it's just got some like I don't even remember this. If this is like Lupin the Third, yeah, this is like different Lupin the Third episodes, and I don't know, it's good. So I don't know why Video Circus was like, this is definitely not for kids. There's nothing that edgy in this. So Now, Crying Free Man is definitely not for kids. This is a violent sexual anime. But again, the story is really interesting and beautifully animated with some nice music. So, all right, play some Dead or Alive 2. Cutie Suzuki in the background here. Now, this is the Japanese disc. So, we were talking about the Dreamcast 2, and I remember seeing that box in Hollywood. There you go. Cool. Sega Dreamcast in Japan always had orange on the box. So, you know, in America it was red. Japan it was orange. Europe it was blue. So we can only hope that, you know, the Dreamcast 2 is coming. And I, for one, will be helpful in helping the fine people at Sega to round up people to dwell in their underground sugar caves. Like Kent Brockman, when the ants were going to invade. Now, I do not have a modded Dreamcast. So, I have to do the nifty Game Shark disc boot before playing a Japanese game. I am looking into getting a modded Sega Dreamcast. So, you know. The Key Metal is another great classic. Oh, cool. I'll check that out. Key the Metal. Interesting. I want to check out Riding Bean. I've heard that the creator of Bubblegum Crisis is responsible for that. Is the Dreamcast 2 just a fantasy? Did something recently happen that make... Yeah, I do think it might happen because Sega and Microsoft are supposedly saying that they've got some revolutionary announcement coming up. And it's either going to be Sega is going to start branding the Microsoft consoles, or it's going to be something completely disappointing like Sega's going to have a digital streaming service through Microsoft. And it's like, no one's going to care. But if it is a Dreamcast 2, that is going to be like, everyone's going to freak the hell out because Sega being back in the hardware game is what people have been like wanting for so long. Now, we've got all this increasing social justice, you know, warrior type stuff that's kind of increasingly happening. But that was before this. This game was before all that. So, you know, and even though the women are super sexy in this game, they're all every bit the equal of a man. So I don't understand a lot of the problem that, you know, feminists have with these games because, first of all, I'm not a huge fan of feminism, but third wave feminism is all about promoting female sexuality. But besides that, you know, this is a male escapist genre, and the women here, even though they look sexy, are super cool people, and they're, you know, just as good at fighting as any man. So I don't see any reason not to be a fan of the sexy girls in Dead or Alive. I think the people who don't like that are, quite frankly, people who just like to complain. Unless you have some kind of, like, spiritual thing, you know, which is also totally understandable and fine, you know. You want to kind of keep your mind in a more pure space, which, again, is a nice thing. But at the same time, nothing wrong with some artistic beauty either. Start game... No, I don't want code. Whatever. Start game without codes. Okay. I'm all for women. Turn the volume up. Maybe I should leave the lights on. I don't know. I think the camera on this Prism app actually does better with the lights on, but when I do my YouTube videos, I always turn the lights off, and stuff looks better. Oh, I said I was going to put this on the PVM. Never mind. We'll just do it on the Trinitron. This game is, I think for its time, the best looking 3D fighting game. I saw this game on my friend's Sega Dreamcast and was like, just could not believe at how good this game looked. I love the opening to this game too. I promised Hayate I can't let you die. There's Hollywood Hogan right there with his axe bomber. And he's gonna get his exercise by chucking Discount Chun-Li off that building. Well, now he's going off the building. I think my favorite is when that girl goes to Jan Lee, I mastered Kung Fu to live in your world. And he just looks at her with this very concerned, wide-eyed look. Like, this girl is clearly a psycho. And I don't know what I'm going to do in this situation. I probably need to slowly back away. But I can't. Because she mastered Kung Fu to live in my world. Oh no, it's the clone Kasumi. How dare you, you swindler. Dreamcast is, man, just such a really, really good system for this kind of presentation here. I mean, when Dreamcast came out initially, it was just head and shoulders above everything else. I mean, the only thing that was really hurting the Sega Dreamcast was the fact that people knew the PS2 was coming out. So, there were some people that bought the Sega Dreamcast. I don't know anyone who had the Dreamcast and didn't love it when they had it. But a lot of the more kind of the common gamer was waiting for the PS2, because when the PS2 came out, that was like, you couldn't find a PS2 for months after it came out because it was in such high demand. And PS2 had a pretty decent launch, but, you know, I mean, definitely, like, early going. I mean, the Dreamcast had a nice jump on the PS2. And so the Dreamcast had a better library of games than the PlayStation 2 for, I don't know, at least a year when they were both out. But, you know, ultimately, I guess the PS2 was too much for the Dreamcast to handle. But again, you know, despite the fact that Sega Genesis didn't do as well in Japan, the Dreamcast did well in Japan, you know, and Dreamcast sold into the mid 2000s. Tag battle. Now notice, just by playing this game, how I can unlock costumes. Unlike Dead or Alive 6, which is insane. We never want you to complete a costume. Play this forever. We're initializing the DOA engines here. I'm all for women as well, my friend. How could men not support feminists? I'd like to see some new Phantasy Star. Same. Yeah, my whole thing with feminism is like, you know, I'm all for equal rights for women. I don't know anyone who's like, I'm against equal rights for women, you know? Like, screw them. Like, nobody says that, you know? And I understand that there are situations that, you know, women are in that, you know, like, are clearly unfair, and women have a unique perspective and should have their voices heard. Absolutely. That doesn't mean that women can never be unethical, and it doesn't mean that women, that their will should go unquestioned. And that's my big problem with feminism, is that there's too many feminists that are like, oh, the female will, it must be correct. It's like, no, it could be quite wrong, and often is. Because women are people, and people make stupid decisions, Like, that's my problem with feminism. It appropriates a lot of male-dominated philosophy and just swaps the tropes, right? So for second wave feminism, it basically just appropriated Marxism's proletariat and bourgeoisie for women against patriarchy. And then the third wave, it's all Foucault, right? It's all, my glorious will and self-affirmation through kind of a brilliant hedonism that seeks to be authentic and powerful. I don't know. I don't care what your belief system is. If it's unethical, then I don't want it. I don't care whether you're a feminist. If you have an unethical interpretation of feminism or an unethical interpretation of Christianity, if you're not treating other people the way that you'd want to be treated, you got a problem with your belief system. That doesn't mean everything's relative and that any decision a person makes is fine. It just means that you need to treat people with respect and not be denying people a chance at life, Kazumi looks awesome here. I think what most people really want is egalitarianism. I agree. Yes. Because people want to be treated with dignity. Dennis Rodman over here, aka Zach the Kickboxer, who I'm way out of practice with. Dead or Alive, it's got this really interesting grapple mechanic here. I think too many people, too, I'm not saying you have to be religious, but I think people abandon religion and then end up embracing politics like it's a religion, and that's not healthy. They become these rabid ideologues. They just live for these political philosophies and political movements, and then just become total fanatics because they have no spiritual perspective. It's like if you're a religious person, you can put things into perspective because it's like, okay, humanity has done a lot of great things, but it's ultimately, it ultimately submits to God, which is on another plane above it. If you're a Christian too, or there's the whole golden rule and living a Christ-like life, which is just absolutely rooted in ethics. Treat other people the way you want to be treated. But there's a lot of other people, when they start getting so into these political philosophies, it's like, no, my will is the end-all be-all, and I don't care if I'm being unfair because I'm right and you're wrong. And there's this is a negative thing that comes out of Marx, is the dictatorship of the proletariat, when it's turned into something like, well, I get to be unfair because I'm on the right side of history, and the ends justify the means, so shut up. That's a terrible way to look at things. And too often politics and feminism, and sadly in particular, a lot of the time can have that. And that's not to say that that's all it has, but I think sadly, that's more on the liberal side that I see. Conservatives, the screw up that they make is just they're too insensitive to the plight of other people besides themselves. The conservatives have real issues to be upset about, but they, I think, discount other people too much. And, so, lack of sensitivity, but the lack of sensitivity is often better than the just hysterical willfulness of a lot of people on the so-called left. Alright, Tina and Bass, they are so cool. Again, I'm still upset that Brooke Hogan and Hulk Hogan have never played this duo. Figure 4. been interesting if we live in an alternate dimension where Bret Hart had the cowboy gimmick. It's Cowboy Bret Hart. And the Hee Haw Foundation. Should probably tag out. Ah, I tagged out too late. Man, come on. Man, slipped right behind me. Nice, nice slip. The beauty of the women in this game is just fantastic. I mean, this is such a pretty game to look at. Not just the girl. I mean, yes, the girls are the main thing, but like everything, all the character designs just look so smooth and smooth and soft and powerful all at the same time, and vibrant. We have Leon, which is basically Jean-Claude Van Damme from Lionheart. Ah, went to the well too many times with that. Hayabusa. He is the Ninja Gaiden. He is the ninja side story. Lack of class consciousness. I think your comments are coming. I think there's a pretty significant delay with your comments and them coming to me. So, because I don't even remember what the comment about class consciousness Tony is making is in reference to, because I'm to the point now where I'm just thinking about, Dead or Alive. So, I remember I was talking about, things involving class consciousness. I just don't remember the specific thing that he's commenting on. But, I mean, not to get, unfortunately political here, but, we were talking, earlier about this. It's just, I don't know, man. I can't believe the enthusiasm for the destruction of just whole areas of civilization in these riots, just from people that are just these white middle class liberals that are just upset about things, and they just, I don't know, they're willing to just kind of sit from the comfort of their own homes and just cheerlead this scorched earth stuff that you could very easily start affecting them. I mean, one of my favorite things that I've seen out of this whole tragedy is the tweet out of that basketball player where he's like, yeah, man, let it burn it all. And then it gets to his gated community, and he's like, these animals just burned a Starbucks. Somebody help me. It's like, yeah, well, karma's a bitch. So, but, we all pray for mercy, so who among us is not deserving of karma? Get out. Kasumi, get out. Nothing beats a good tag battle here. Grapple, that grapple. Gosh darn it. Maybe I was hitting the wrong button for grapple. Ah, we lost. Ooh, Dead or Alive or Tekken? That is a good... Who's got the better chicks, Dead or Alive or Tekken? That is... I'm going to go with Dead or Alive. Just because they've got... Dead or Alive has such a... It's got a kind of a soft, round style, whereas Tekken is very beautiful, but it's... I mean, and I love it. Tekken's just got a more powerful look to it, and Dead or Alive... I just like the softness of the characters. It's just that it's a very pretty... It's got this very kind of pretty, kind of cartoon-esque style to it while looking realistic and exciting. I'm not doing well at this. I'm sorry. Mainly because I'm out of practice and my mind is kind of in multiple places here, but such is the life of a streamer. Kasumi is definitely my favorite character. Very fast. Easy to play as. Easy on the eyes. I knew he was gonna do that. I wonder if these guys are the final boss. And that's why they're being such a bitch here. Gosh darn it. Man. Ah, darn it. No! It was so close. Chamada. You're in my way. It's one of the Japanese phrases I learned from watching anime. Initially, Cell said it on Dragon Ball Z. That's how I knew what that was. I can't remember who he said it to, but either way, they got their ass kicked. Or their butt handed to them is a more polite way to say that. I don't want to have this turn into a boss rage, me just kind of spinning my wheels thing here. But we're sticking with it at the same time. I don't want to teach, it's okay to give up. I mean, sometimes it is, but... Like, if your arm's going to get broken and you're in an arm bar, just tap out. Live to fight another day. If you're going to lose consciousness, if someone is choking you, and they're willing to let go, then give up. So this is a night. Darn, I always go to the well one too many times with that. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I don't know. As much as I love this program here, this Prism program, and again, you guys just might not be talking, which is fine. But I feel like I'm getting your comments a little bit after. It sounds like I'm getting your comments a couple minutes after you send them. Oh, we beat him. Finally. There, they were the final boss. That's why that was so hard. What should we play now? It's a good question. I guess we could. I think it caught up now. That's good. So we beat Dead or Alive 2's tag team mode. We should probably need to dig out Tatsunoko vs. Capcom for the Nintendo Wii. Now I like the Wii, I just don't play it that much, so it is definitely hooked up though. So let's actually go over here to our Wii games. And here's our Wii games right here. Knight's Journey into Dreams. That was a weird game. I love Knights, though. But mostly on the Sega Saturn. Was really behind for some reason. I'm so bad at fighting games. My brother and Steve are really good at them, though. I gotta fight Steve. I've never mixed it up with Steve on any fighting games. And I haven't seen Nyx in CCA. Tatsunoko vs. Capcom right here. Yeah, they're really fun to watch. Actually, it's one of the reasons why I liked to play them when I stream is because I know they're fun to watch because I like watching them. So I figure you guys like watching them. They are my favorite type of game just to relax and play, though, because, you know, I love RPGs, but they take so long to beat. And when you've got a 3-year-old and a full-time job and, you know, you still get a lot of time to go sit down and invest your mind in this, like, big sweeping story. So sometimes it's fun just to have the experience of doing a cool fighting game. Plus, I like to train and fight, so it's something where, you know, I'm just down to engage in a good fighting game. Was bummed when Evo got canceled. I knew they were adjusting the style it was doing. Like, I know they were doing a lot of online stuff. I didn't know it straight up got canceled though. Because last I heard they were doing like a lot of exhibition type stuff. They were doing a lot of exhibition matches because of you know, they were afraid of a lot of crazy lag with online because of Corona, and like there were lesser known games that had better net connection that were going to be more spotlighted. That's the last I heard of Evo, but I didn't hear that Evo actually got canceled, which is too bad. I'm a huge fan of Daigo Umehara. Check it out. I think Pat the NES Punk can be kind of a jerk sometime, but he actually recently had a story about the new... He and Ian on the Completely Unnecessary podcast were actually just talking about Evo. And, you know, this was probably about 2 weeks ago. Not even, maybe a week and a half ago. So check out that story. See if anything has changed. I don't believe that Evo is canceled, but given all the lunacy that's going on, especially with the riots, like, who knows? Ken Serlin is pretty good, too. Is that a podcaster or a commentator or an Evo player? I don't know. But yeah, Daigo is Alex Valle is also really cool. You need to watch if you haven't already the Daigo Umehara Street Fighter 03 TV special that came out in Japan when Daigo was probably about like 17, 18 years old, and he fights Alex Valle at Street Fighter Player. Cool. In San Francisco after he goes through Japan, and our comments are taking forever to appear on the screen. Yeah, dude, I don't get it, man. I don't know if there's something wrong with my Wi-Fi, or it seems like Tony's stuff is coming like right away. So I don't know, man, but it's all good. Just comment, and you know, hopefully the internet on whose ever end picks up. I just want to make sure I've got my Nintendo Wii hooked up. It looks like I do. I believe I do. Make sure this is plugged in with some Tatsunoko versus Capcom going here. Again, I do not play my Nintendo Wii enough. So, yeah. Honestly, a lot of what I play my Wii on is for retro games and Capcom versus Tatsunoko. I love to box. So, yeah, it's kind of late at night, but I love boxing, so 162, 162, 232, slip. Yeah, there you go. So anyway, so Punch Out, I love to play. So, alright, the Wii is plugged in. Let's turn it on. And, where are you? Yep, here we go. We're good. Yeah, I try to do shadow boxing 20 minutes a day. So, you know. And it's just always something you just try to get better at. Alright. Since all this quarantine stuff, though, I haven't trained with anyone in person. I've done Skype training, but never... I have to fast forward to catch up. I keep having to fast forward to catch up. Huh. Weird. It's the Wii. The stream, I mean. Huh. Have you seen me box on the stream yet? Okay, where's my Wiimote? Alright, here you are. Ah, the Wii. So, fun fact about the Wii. We've got the TurboGrafx Street Fighter 2 on it, or the PC Engine. That might be fun for us to play as well. But what we're all here for is some Tatsunoko versus Capcom. I saw you box, LOL. Yeah, I mean, I'm not the best, but I do enjoy it. I feel like both me and the people I train with are better for the experience, which is, I think, good. I've started boxing right-handed. I'm naturally left-handed, but my footwork is much better. I miss the G4 characters. Which like the TV show, or the TV network G4? Which characters, man? There's Tatsunoko versus Capcom. I was cleaning out my classroom all day. I mean, I'm totally 1,000% down to stream, but if I just sound a little tired, it's because I'm just a little tired. So, I might just be missing something that you're saying, like missing a reference. Because when you say G4, I think of the weird video game channel that was good and then got terrible and then got canceled. So. Add the TurboGrafx Bomberman on the Wii. Love Bomberman. Cool. Alright, Tatsunoko versus Capcom. Come on. Think about the Wiimote. There it is. It's such a weird control system, you know? Yes, yes. Cannot use other controllers with the GameCube controller, blah, blah, blah. Loading. I'll hit the lights. Have some fun. If you guys have not imported a PC Engine Mini, do it. It's good stuff. You will like it. One thing about this game that I'm a little annoyed with is they cut out the Japanese opening. Like, this opening is fine, but the original Japanese opening was better. Like, this has got this, like, English J R&B style to it that is fine, but the original Japanese opening is, like, way better. Batsu, nice Shinkiro artwork for this game. Alright. Yes, thank you for watching my review of the PC Engine Mini. Yes, it is awesome. I love it. What are we at for difficulty here? Yeah, 2, that's not bad. We'll go to arcade mode. It just floors me to no end that, oh, you just reviewed it again. Yeah, no, either way. No, you know what, dude? I did not review the PC Engine Mini. I almost always review those mini consoles when I get them, and I did not do a straight-up review. of PC Engine Mini. Alex and Batsu are going to be our team here. Yeah, dude, but PC Engine Mini is fantastic. G4 the channel, yes. G4, I really liked Olivia Munn on G4. I thought she was really funny. Roll has her broom. Alright, it's been a while since I've played this here, so... I'm a little unsure, because some of these games simplified the Street Fighter style controls a bit. So I don't want to just button mash here. I'm trying to like do Street Fighter style moves, while at the same time getting a feel for the flow of this game here, which is, it's been a while, so. But I do like it very much. I don't lose. I don't remember how to do super moves on this. That's tag. That's it. This game had a great roster. There was a great Olivia Munn Attack of the Show thing, like where she was doing this interview, how she was this like shallow celebrity that was young because she ate baby ducks for their youthful vitality or something, and she was just this like narcissistic, insane ditz that did terrible things that, and like, you know, but she was like supposed to be Olivia Munn, so it was like, it was this horrible dark side of her that was completely absurd. It was really funny. Yeah, G4 was really cool. The problem with G4 is that, from what I can tell, all of the, I don't know, it seemed like Electronic Arts and other various American companies who made sports games and shooting games all just, you know, put G4 on their payroll, and they just shilled like crazy for those games. And then, like, the really good Japanese-style games all got marginalized or not well-reviewed. And, I don't know, it was just annoying. Or they were just trying to reach what they thought was, like, a, quote, you know, cooler demographic or something. But, you know, nobody buys sports games, you know, and, like, they were acting like those were just so great, you know, because they heard probably in some focus group somewhere that college guys play Madden, you know, so. I don't know. Either way, G4 like was very clear that it no longer was representing the fans that they once had. And that's a thing I notice increasingly in, you know, quote-unquote critical media for mass culture. You know, they're just way out of touch, man. It's like, they don't understand what people like, and they don't give honest commentary. Like, for me, like, when I do my reviews, like, if I like something, I like it. If I don't, I don't. And I try to explain why. Like, with them, it's like they have these standards in their head that are completely meaningless. But then they try to act like those standards are the end-all, be-all. You know, so, I don't know. I think I've said my piece as far as that goes. That is loser. Alex has a weird voice in this game. Like, in Street Fighter 3, he had that very cool, like, he was soft-spoken. In this game, he sounds like Guile, which is fine. I mean, either way, it's all good. It is Zero and Doranjo. I heard that the Samurai Pizza Cats were supposed to be in this game, but there was some kind of legal issue that prevented that from happening, which is terrible. What's how cool this game would have been with the Samurai Pizza Cats? Sounds like either you guys have stopped commenting or there's an increasing delay. Either way, it's all good in the hood. You have a Zero here, who is just always a badass. This was a good game to suggest, so good going on Diego for recommending we play this game. It's not one of the most well-known of the Capcom Versus series, but is quite good. This has that Street Fighter EX kind of vibe when you do a super move and you get like weird and exploding pictures in the background. I'm standing next to a mountain, chop it down with the edge of my hand. Wow, wow. You can't escape. Incidentally, Alex's design in Street Fighter V, his like kind of default design, not as good as this. I mean, it is my theory that all of the default designs in Street Fighter V are awkward because they want people to buy download content to correct how awkward it looks. Now, eventually, they just basically started giving away the updates, which is great, you know. You got the game, don't worry about buying a new one. We'll update it for you. I mean, that does cost money, like if you want all the features in it, but they're making it so that you don't have to go out to the store and buy a game. You can just download the update for free and then piecemeal the rest of it. So at least that was my observation with how the updates have been working with Capcom for their upgraded versions of Street Fighter 5 in this case. This guy's hard to focus on here. I mean, Alex has got so many throwing attacks, and it's not going to work on old Butterman over here. Oh no! Shut my mouth at will. At these loser. Alright. Do you like, and what are your thoughts on Most Extreme Elimination Challenge from Spike? Isn't that Takeshi's Castle? Is it Most Extreme Elimination Challenge Takeshi's Castle? And if it is, I think it's cool. I think that the dubbing on Most Extreme Elimination Challenge was probably done so that it had like nothing to do with the original content of Takeshi's Castle. But I would check it out. I don't really remember Most Extreme Elimination Challenge that well. I remember it was on Spike TV when I was an undergrad in college. I remember they tried to play up the whole, like, this is a Japanese show with American people talking on it. Ha 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 ha, you know, like that kind of thing. It seemed like it still was able to have a sense of humor about things that was kind of within the spirit of the show. But I don't remember it well. So I have no actual comment on Most Extreme Elimination Challenge other than show it subtitled and you call it the real thing. But I'm sure you had a cool product anyway. When Toonami first came back, they had that weird Casshern Sins show. I say that because Casshern is in this game and he's cool as hell. Yeah, Batsu. Man. Come on, Alex. Yeah, looks like he did escape. You were 1 second too late. So now I'm going to smash CDs through your face. Good old Father Poochie. Samurai Pizza Cats should have been in Tatsunoko versus Capcom. I am being showed my banned comments aren't showing up. What? Your comments are being banned? What are you saying? Tony, what are you saying that's being banned? What dangerous political views are you trying to put on my Capcom versus Tatsunoko video? Maybe we need to start, like, complimenting our corporate overlords. Jeff Bezos is the Ubermensch. I love Google and all it stands for. You know what I love? YouTube management. They just give and don't get enough back. When I grow up, I want to be George Stephanopoulos. Haha, no idea. Haha, no, it was a joke. Oh. Well, you know, alright. I mean, if you were making controversial political comments, that still would be fun. We've been streaming for 3 hours and 10 minutes. If you compliment them too much, they'll be even more suspicious. I was gonna say I'm getting a bit tired, so I was thinking about wrapping things up, but you guys are actually being so funny now that I'm gonna try to push through, play a little more of this game here. I mean, we could almost certainly beat this game. I mean, this game is not that hard to beat. It's just I don't want, battery power at 15% though, shoot. Alright, we'll do one more fight and then we'll wrap it up, and then we will play more of this on the next live stream. Chun-Li in a burning house. Well, given the current state of affairs here, if there was any time to make a controversial comment, it would be about this level. Move. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Alex's voice is just very different in this game. I think when they gave Guile that, like, nerdy white guy voice for Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, which, again, I don't mind, but it was like, you know, normally Guile, like, if you watch, like, the Street Fighter animated movie, he's got this kind of, like, low, cool... He sounds just like Alex here. But, you know, in the Street Fighter 2 Turbo game, he was like, Sonic Boom! Sonic Boom! Ooh, ah, ooh, ah. Noel, do you have that Dragon Ball Z game that was like a fighting game, but it was called like story mode or something for the PlayStation? Oh, Dragon Ball Z Legends. Yes, I do. Did I lend that to you back in the day? Because I remember I had the 3 PlayStation games. I had Legends, Ultimate Battle 22, and Final Bout. And I remember that Legends, you know, was definitely it was a fighting game, but it, you know, looked nothing like a fighting game, and it was very story driven. So it's good stuff. Just realizing at the start of this review, I was saying we would probably play Dragon Ball Final Bout, but I think we'll probably have to save that for another day as well. That's a game with an amazing opening theme and some pretty nice graphics, and the gameplay is insanely clunky. Sometimes it's like you're walking in water. You always have to glide if you want to move, pretty much. But nevertheless, I still enjoy the game immensely. Chun-Li. There we go, Batsu. You should play those next stream. Will do. Dragon Ball Final Bout. And, what was the other one? It's getting... I'm like, starting to forget the things. Yes, you're correct. MXC is Takeshi's Castle. Oh, yeah, Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball Legends and all that kind of stuff. You know what I heard is that the Sega Saturn version, this is like pretty normal. If there's a Saturn version and a PlayStation version of things, I mean, like the PlayStation version will usually have better 3D, but you know, the Saturn versions are usually the better of the two, and that's definitely the case with Dragon Ball Ultimate Battle 22. So, cool. All right, well, we'll have to leave Capcom versus Tatsunoko for the next stream because it is approaching 1 o'clock and we're running low on battery here. I haven't thought about those in years. You lent them to me when we were modding your PlayStation. I played it to test out the PlayStation. That's what I figured. That's what I figured you were talking about. And just to show you the jewel cases here. Hold on. Soul Edge. A Tale of Souls and Swords, eternally retold. This, I believe, is the game you are talking about. This Dragon Ball Z Legends PlayStation. The best for family fun. The best for family. With Vegito being ready to form. Yeah, have a good night and get some sleep. Tony, I appreciate you very much for stopping by, being a friend for decades. Yeah, it is the game, right? Yeah, we'll play those next time, no question about it, man. We'll play some Dragon Ball, and that is probably the game I've played the least out of those, but it is a very cool fighting game, fast-paced, next generation fighter for Dragon Ball, which was normally all about the 16-bit systems. So very unique game, very cool game. You get to kind of play through the series in both a concise and engaging way while having multiple characters to engage in during the battles. So I will kind of refresh my memories. Dragon Ball Final Bout for your next live stream. I will play both the Japanese version and the American version. Now, I actually have both versions of the American version in terms of its jewel case. This is the later version that was much more well known in the sense of being accessible. People had already been into Dragon Ball for years when this game came out, and I got a new artwork for the box. But when Dragon Ball was just coming out in the US, this game was released, and this is actually very, very similar to the Japanese cover of this game. So Dragon Ball GT Final Bout, which is really weird because we didn't get Dragon Ball GT here in the United States yet, but our version of the game was called Dragon Ball GT. But the Japanese version of the game was just called Dragon Ball Final Bout. So, I don't know, it was really weird. Trying to find the Japanese box to that. Here it is. Yeah. Dragon Ball Final Bout. Doesn't say GT at all. So, cool game. Amazing opening. Alright, guys. Well, thank you for sticking with the stream. I thank you very much for watching. I appreciate your friendship. I appreciate your interest. I appreciate your patience and your support. So until next time, guys, my name is Noel. Tune in. I'll see you in a couple of days, 3 days max. Play some Dragon Ball. Play some more Tatsunoko versus Capcom. And I will see you in the very near future. Take care, gang. Bye-bye.